Chapter 1380. Grandpa, I still don't understand why you're so afraid of Shi Sheng. In the car, the silent young man suddenly spoke. When the name Shi Sheng was mentioned, it was bound to be cursed. Patriarch Yen looked out of the car window at the skyscrapers that were moving backward. The people moving below were as small as ants. Why? Patriarch Yen retracted his gaze and stroked his white beard. His eyes were filled with light. I'll tell you these things when you inherit my position. Grandpa. Patriarch Yen changed the topic. That little girl came to the capital star. I'm afraid this year's summit can't continue. Don't run around. You're the only successor of the Yen family. I don't want to lose it because of her. The hover car arrived at the entrance of the hotel. Before it came to a stop, it saw 3 layers of people surrounding it. The most eye-catching ones were the Zhanlong guards who were dressed in black. Their attire was very unique. Inside, they wore black combat uniforms that resembled military uniforms. On the outside, they wore capes. A golden dragon coiled up from below. Its head rested on their shoulders. It opened its mouth wide as if it wanted to bite off their necks. Every one of them had a solemn expression and stood straight like a sharp sword. No matter how the crowd pushed and shoved, they didn't move an inch. These were the Zhanlong guards. The Zhanlong guards that once terrified the Zergs and shook the galaxy. A young girl stood in the middle of the Zhanlong guards. Her black dress made her skin look white. Half of her hair was casually tied up and the other half was scattered behind her. She just stood there without saying a word. She was neither angry nor happy, but she had a domineering aura. But in that domineering aura, there was a hint of, she's Shi Sheng? Yen Lin looked down through the transparent car window. Her name appeared frequently on the star web, but there were no photos of her. No matter if it was taken secretly or by the media, as long as it was uploaded, it would be deleted. Even the photos saved in one's own terminal would be deleted. Because of this, many people even sued her in the Supreme Court of the Netherworld Galaxy, claiming that she violated their privacy. In the end, she said, if you don't save I's photos, I will violate your privacy. Then the matter was settled. Later, there were fewer and fewer photos of her. Many people only heard of her name but never saw her. Patriarch Yen asked, what do you think of her? Yen Lin pondered for a moment. It's a little evil. She did have a noble air about her. However, amidst that noble air, she would occasionally emit an evil aura that could not be ignored. That's right. This little girl is evil and cruel. You should avoid her. Patriarch Yen warned his grandson. Yen Lin looked down again and muttered, is it that serious? The girl below seemed to have said something, and the crowd suddenly began to retreat. The young lady turned around and entered the hotel. The Zhanlong guards followed behind her. As they walked, their cloaks fluttered in the wind. The golden dragon swayed as if it was about to soar into the sky. Shi Sheng lived on the top floor. Originally, the Ji family, one of the 6 great families, was also arranged to live on the top floor. However, when the Ji family heard that she was coming, they took the initiative to go to the lower floor. Brother Yi, I want to stay on the top floor. A girl dressed like a little princess hugged a man's arm and acted coquettishly. Not this time. The man's tone was gentle. It's the same down there. We'll stay down there. The girl pouted. Why? The man patted her head. The one from the Shi family is here. The Shi family? Shi Sheng? The girl asked curiously. Yes. The man pushed the girl into the room and didn't want to say more. Wash up first. I'll take you out later. Okay. The girl immediately beamed. The man left the room and ordered the people outside, watch the miss. I'll go up and say hello. Yes. The man took the elevator upstairs. At the door, he met Shi Feng who was about to go downstairs. Shi Feng took a step back and nodded politely. Patriarch Ji. Is she here? Ji smiled and returned the greeting. Patriarch went to Frost Moon Street. Ji Yi was stunned. That's true. She'll definitely go there first. I'll come later. Patriarch Ji. Shifeng stopped Ji Yi. Forgive me for being blunt. Patriarch doesn't want to see you. You'd better keep an eye on Ji Xian. If she offends Patriarch, he might do something. If it wasn't for you back then. Ji Ye's face paled and he interrupted Shifeng. I understand. Don't tell her that you came. Shifeng's expression was solemn as if he was swearing an oath. Shifeng is loyal to Patriarch. Ji Yi understood what he meant. He would definitely tell her. Ji Yi didn't say anything else. He turned and entered the elevator. The elevator went down for a very short time. When the elevator door opened, Ji Yi didn't finish his thoughts. He collected his emotions and walked out of the elevator with a smile on his face. Patriarch Ji, what are you doing? Ji Yi turned around and saw the two from the Yen family. He nodded slightly, polite and distant. Patriarch Yen. Patriarch Yen glanced at the elevator. You've been up there? Ji Yi smiled and didn't answer. Patriarch Yen motioned for Ji Yi to go with him. What does that have to do with you? She's just venting her anger on you. She's being unreasonable. When has she ever been reasonable? Ji Yi shook his head. Patriarch Yen sighed. That's true. Since that incident, she's become more and more unreasonable. She used her fists to reason until you were convinced. I don't know why she came back this time. She even brought so many Zhanlong guards. Obviously, she's not here with good intentions. Those old guys must be scared out of their wits now. Patriarch Yan's tone was either gloating or lamenting. If you don't do anything wrong, you won't be afraid of ghosts knocking on your door. Patriarch Yan laughed. Ha ha ha, just wait and see. At the latest, someone will come to ask about the news. Yen Lin, who was behind them, was confused. What were they talking about? He could understand them separately, but when they were combined, he couldn't understand a single word. Frost Moon Street. At first, it was called Double Moon Street. Because the buildings here were two crescent moons facing each other, and there was a man-made river in the middle. Later, because the street was surrounded by frost trees, which came from a very remote planet. Frost would form every morning and night, so the name was changed to Frost Moon Street. Shishang looked at the river that had been filled in. There were no frost trees around. Just like the river, it was drowned in the torrent of history. No one knew the origin of Frost Moon Street. Shishang walked through the river and walked towards the deepest part of Frost Moon Street. She walked very slowly. Her eyes swept around from time to time, as if she was recalling something, but also as if she was just observing the changes in Frost Moon Street. Finally, she stopped in front of a carved door in the deepest part of Frost Moon Street. Outside the door, there were strange vines that covered the door. They followed the door all the way up, almost wrapping the entire wall. Shishang went forward and pulled the vines. They were very tight. Chapter 1381. Shishang gave up after a few tugs. She stared at the door calmly. As night fell, the light around her dimmed. The street lamps elongated her shadow. The robot cleaning the street walked past her, cleaned up the vines she had just broken, and left. Shifeng's figure gradually approached. He bowed and said, Patriarch, let's go back. Shishang was silent for a few seconds. Did Ji Yi come to find me? Yes. Shifeng replied. Shishang looked up at the vines on the wall. They think I'm venting my anger on him. Do you think so too? Shifeng replied without hesitation, Master, you wouldn't vent your anger on someone for no reason. Shishang turned around. Caught off guard, Shifeng met Shishang's gaze. His heart skipped a beat. He quickly looked away and looked at the ground. She moved and walked past him slowly. He heard her voice. It was calm and monotonous. I'm venting my anger on him. Shifeng was slightly surprised, but he didn't dare to ask. He followed her silently. Back at the hotel, Shishang fell asleep immediately. When he woke up in the morning, he acted as if nothing had happened. Shishang wasn't here to attend the 12 summit, so she wasn't interested in these people at all. The 12 Summit was held every year. The 6 major families, the executives of the 5 administrative planets, and the royal family of the Nether Galaxy had to attend. It was equivalent to an annual deployment. Of course, only the top forces had to attend. There were also some strange organizations that would attend the 12 Summit. Host, I suggest you attend the 12 Summit. The system's voice suddenly sounded. Why? You can find the person you're looking for. There's no one with the surname Fong in the 12 Summit. There was no one with the surname Fong in the Nether Galaxy, only the Red Moon Galaxy. But there was no match in the Red Moon Galaxy. I'm just giving the host a suggestion. It's none of my business whether you listen or not. The system was very arrogant. Shi Sheng narrowed his eyes. What's wrong, Buttface? Have you contacted your master? I don't want to talk to the host. Shi Sheng looked up at the sky. Buttface, do you belong to the Alliance? Of course not. The system snorted. Shi Sheng mumbled. Then it can only be those strange organizations. Master, I didn't say anything. She guessed it herself. There were only a few strange organizations in the galaxy, but those were the more famous ones. There were many less famous ones, and the number of illegal organizations was uncountable. If she really wanted to investigate them one by one, it would waste a lot of time. 12 Summit. Teske, since I'm already here, I have to let those old farts know that I'm back. Let's go then. On the day of the 12th Summit, the Imperial family was the first to arrive. As the host, they had to act as the host, not to mention that Shi Sheng was also present this time. This time, the person in charge of this matter was the third prince of the Imperial family, Shangguan Pu. Shangguan Pu had seen Shi Sheng's ferocious appearance before. He brought his men to the venue early in the morning, but when he entered the venue, he found that there were already people there. The young girl put her legs on the table, crossed her arms, and stared at the entrance of the venue. After so many years, she still looked the same. She was indeed beautiful, but she was too savage. He couldn't bear to look at her directly. But why was this woman here so early? He took a deep breath, moved his facial muscles, and stepped forward with a smile. Shi family head, why are you here so early? Shi Sheng raised his eyebrows and said in a light tone, Am I not welcome? How would I dare? Who welcomes you? Everyone wished that you didn't come. They cursed in their hearts, but they didn't dare to show any dissatisfaction on their faces. Why did Shi family head think of attending the 12 Summit this time? Shi Sheng looked at Shangguan Pu with a faint smile, but his eyes were incomparably cold. There's no seat for me at the 12 Summit? Shangguan Pu. Was that what he meant just now? What nonsense are you twisting? Her smile was scarier than her fierceness. What are you laughing at? What's so funny? I really want to cover her face. Shangguan Pu gritted his teeth and squeezed out a smile. Shi family head must be joking. How can there be no seat for you at the 12 Summit? Without your seat, it's not called the 12 Summit. He couldn't offend her. Otherwise, this year's 12 Summit wouldn't be able to continue. Shi Sheng's smile deepened. It's good that you have it. I thought that because I didn't come back for so many years, you took away my seat. Shi family head worries too much. We won't do such a thing. No matter how angry Shangguan Pu was, he could only hold it in. I heard that Shi family head wasn't feeling well a few days ago. I wonder if you're better now? I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm very well. How can I be disappointed? As long as Shi family head is well. Why don't you just sleep and not wake up? After being scolded by Shi Sheng, he came out of the venue with his back covered in cold sweat. Why did she come back? Shangguan Pu shouted at the people beside him. Third prince, no one knows. She only has the Zhanlong guards by her side, but you know how the Zhanlong guards talk. Even if the sky falls, they won't say a word. There's no news from the blue planet. Shangguan Pu was tired. The other families don't know either? No one has met her face to face. How would they know? Their brains must have been fried. Shangguan Pu scolded. Inform the others and tell them to hurry up. She's already here and they're still taking their time. Are they looking for death? Everyone looked at each other. Was it going to be held in advance? What about His Majesty? Shangguan Pu waved his hand. I'll go and inform the others. Hurry up and inform the others. Because Shi Shang arrived too early, the others had to hurry. Many people hadn't seen her for a long time, but the things she did never stopped spreading to their ears. In the Netherworld galaxy, there was probably no one who hadn't heard of her bad reputation. Shi Shang occupied several seats by himself. The others came forward to say hello and left, afraid that she would find trouble. The youngest person who could sit down looked to be 27 or 28 years old. Only she looked like a little girl. She sat calmly in a group of big shots. The people who were far away whispered, "She's been in a coma for 3 months. Why did she wake up for no reason? Who knows? Maybe she released fake news. Didn't you see how she dealt with Shi Yi and Shi Lan, who had ulterior motives, as soon as she woke up? These two people have entered the main family. She didn't even say anything and just dealt with them. It's a pity for Shi Yi. My daughter still likes him very much. Shi Yi asked for it himself. The Shi family raised him up, so they naturally have the ability to pull him down. But if this is a trap set up by that person, then it's a little. It can't be. Why not? Why did she wake up so timely? A trap? Aren't you overestimating Shi Yi and Shi Lan? She didn't even set up a trap when she chose the alliance back then. How could Shi Yi and Shi Lan let her set up a trap? Are you kidding me? This voice was a little loud, and the venue suddenly fell silent. Chapter 1382. The man who spoke was sitting in the seat of the Jin family. He was the head of the Jin family, Jin Shi. Despite his nice name, he was just a rough man. His appearance was also quite rough, which didn't match his name at all. Jin Shi was straightforward and had a bad temper. He used to say whatever he wanted, but today, he also knew that he had lost his composure. He glanced at Shi Shang, who didn't react. He just stared at the table calmly, as if he could see a flower on the table. Seeing that Shi Shang didn't react, everyone changed the topic. She didn't react this time, but it didn't mean that she wouldn't react next time. Ji Yi sat next to the head of the Yan family and glanced at Shi Shang from the corner of his eyes. The latter seemed to have noticed his gaze and suddenly looked up. Her eyes were so cold that it seemed to tear him apart. After a while, she retracted her gaze and sat in a different position, directly blocking his view. Ji Yi opened his palm and found that it was full of cold sweat. Time passed by, and there were still people who hadn't arrived. His Majesty naturally had to wait for everyone to arrive before coming out, but at this time, His Majesty was already in the lounge at the back. I'll talk. Shi Shang knocked on the table, and the president suddenly quieted down. Are you here to chat or to have a meeting? At this time, it was already past the official time of the meeting, and Shi Shang had no reason to be angry. Shangguan Pu quickly stood up and explained, "Head of the Shi family, the head of the Mu family hasn't arrived yet. Let's start the meeting." Shi Shang interrupted Shangguan Pu. "Do you really think he's the Emperor and the whole world has to wait for him?" Shangguan Pu was speechless. Since Mu Lantian left the family and his son took over, the Mu family had become more and more rampant in recent years because of their 2 super mechas. Every year, the Mu family would arrive after the appointed time, which embarrassed the royal family. Super mecha. There were less than 10 of them in all the galaxies. Some of them couldn't even be used. Not everyone could control a super mecha. But the Mu family had a stroke of luck. They already had one, and then they got another one, and both of them could be controlled by someone. Wouldn't the Mu family be proud of themselves? They had heard that the Shi family had more than one super mecha, but they had never seen anyone from the Shi family using it. Hence, they did not know if this rumor was true or not. Shi Shang, on the other hand, had once destroyed a super mecha in the Red Crescent Galaxy with his bare hands. Although he didn't know how she had broken it with her bare hands, this was what Red Moon's message meant when dissected into simple words. Shangguan Pu glanced at Shi Shang and gestured for everyone to return to their seats. It was about to begin. The old guys from the Capital Star sat there with ugly faces. She didn't know if it was because of the Shi Shang or because of the Mu family. After everyone was seated, His Majesty came out of the lounge inside. His Majesty was already old, but his aura was still there. Everyone stood up and bowed to pay their respects. The Shi Shang just tilted his head and looked at His Majesty. He had no intention of getting up. "Let's begin." His Majesty waved his hand tiredly. He didn't even give a speech. After all, this person was here. Shangguan Pu immediately walked to the middle of the round table. He cleared his throat. This year's summit, we have 3 main areas to discuss. The first is about the suppression of the interstellar pirates at the border. The second is about the revision of the interstellar law. The third is about the various administrative planets. Gotcha! The closed conference room was pushed open. A man came in from the outside. He looked okay, but there was some conceit between his eyebrows. The man seemed a little surprised. "Has it begun?" Everyone's eyes were focused on him, but the man acted as if nothing had happened. "I'm really sorry, I was delayed for a while on the way." His mouth said sorry, but his attitude didn't show the slightest apology. "Lord Mu, please take a seat." Shangguan Pu was sweating. This Mu Yi didn't even look at who was sitting here today. How dare he be so arrogant? Can he be more arrogant than others? If it weren't for the 12 Summit, he really wanted to let him continue and wait for the person over there to clean him up. Why did it start so early? Mu Yi walked to his seat and asked Shangguan Pu. Shangguan Pu braced himself and said, "Lord Mu, it's already past the start time." If it weren't for Shi Shang sitting here, he might have given Mu Yi a face and made up a reason to fool him. But he didn't dare to say anything. "Is it past?" Mu Yi pretended to look at his personal terminal. "Oh, I didn't pay attention to the time. I've made everyone wait for a long time." His Majesty looked down and pretended that he did not see anything. He was just a mascot with a noble status. "Everyone. You know you've made everyone wait for a long time?" Every year at the summit, they saw the Mu Jia's pretentious behavior. They couldn't wait to drive the Mu Jia's people out. This year, maybe this wish will come true. Everyone looked at Shi Shang expectantly. Shi Shang held his chin, his head slightly tilted, watching Mu Yi walk to his side. The arrangement of the seats was also particular. Although it was round, His Majesty was still sitting on the top. On the left of His Majesty were the people from the 6 great clans, on the right were the people from the administrative planets, and on the opposite side of His Majesty was the royal family. Shi Shang's seat was the first on the left, which used to be Mu Yi's seat. But this year, she came, so this seat was naturally arranged for her. Mu Yi's eyes narrowed, but she didn't make a fuss. She nodded at Shi Shang. "Master Shi, I've heard a lot about you." Shi Shang's mouth twitched. "Master Mu, I wonder if you still remember Mu Bai." Mu Yi's face suddenly changed. Shi Shang's smile deepened, and his voice was faint. "He's back." "Master Shi, this news." Shi Shang had already turned his head and didn't intend to pay attention to Mu Yi. Mu Yi glanced around and obviously felt that this was not the place to talk, so she closed her mouth and sat down uneasily. "Everyone." That's it? They thought she was going to throw Mu Yi out. But it was over with just one sentence. As expected of Shi Shang. "Awesome." Shangguan Pu quickly took back the main seat and continued, "The third topic is about the future planning and personnel appointments of each administrative planet." "Okay, then let's start with the first topic. About the rampant pirates in recent years. If anyone has any opinions, please raise them." Shangguan Pu immediately slipped back to His Majesty's side after saying this. "The main reason for the rampant pirates is that the defense of our borders is too weak." The first to speak was an executive officer of the administrative planet. "Our galaxy's military capability is weak, and we can't join the alliance. The pirates are getting more and more rampant because they know this. Everyone knows that the defense is weak. This is a problem that your administrative planets have to solve. How is it a problem that our administrative planets have to solve? You big clans have so many planets under your control, so you have to contribute, right? The safety of the Nether Galaxy can't only depend on us. We don't dare, we're afraid of being plotted against. The rough man Jean, she began to speak the truth again. Chapter 1383. The meeting had just started and everyone was already arguing with each other. The 6 major families, the administrative planets, and the royal family were all in turmoil. They were not as harmonious as they seemed on the surface. Take Mu-E for example. Even though the other major clans didn't like his behavior, no one dared to embarrass him during the summit. Today was a special occasion. Even though he wasn't present, there was still Shi Shang pressuring him. The imperial family and the people from the administrative planet had to suffer. In any case, these people were just fighting back and forth, and there was no real reason for it. Shi Shang took out a handful of sunflower seeds and looked at them arguing. This involved their own interests, so no one was willing to take a step back. Family head Shi, what do you think? Someone suddenly turned their attention to Shi Shang, who was eating sunflower seeds. Shi Shang continued eating sunflower seeds without changing his expression. Like your majesty, I'm here to listen. I don't have any opinions. His Majesty the Lucky Mascot. Family head Shi should know why we can't join the alliance, right? That person did not want to let Shi Shang off. Shi Shang's hand paused. He glanced at that person and said with a smile, "The alliance must be crazy." Everyone, was he shameless? How could he let the alliance take the blame for him? In terms of shamelessness, these people were definitely not as shameless as Shi Shang. No matter how hard they tried, she would not be moved. There are many reasons why the pirates are rampant. It's not all because of family head Shi. Someone came out to smooth things over. What we need to discuss now is how to suppress these pirates, not who is responsible. Even if they wanted to find out who was responsible, what could they find out? Could you make that person get out of the Nether Galaxy and let them join the alliance? That's true, but what can we do now? Out of the 6 major galaxies, 4 were in an alliance, and 1 was shamelessly strong. The Nether Galaxy was at the bottom. If the pirates did not target them, who would they target? So, if you want to blame someone, blame yourselves for being too weak. Shi Shang faintly interrupted. Everyone. Someone, drag this shameless person out. She spoke as if she was not from the Nether Galaxy. Family head Shi, it's easy for you to say that. I'm sitting down. Shi Shang corrected him with a serious face. Cough cough. Shi Shang didn't hold back since someone wanted to talk back to her. Since they didn't give her face, she wouldn't give them face either. This summit was much more interesting than before, and His Majesty was more interested in watching the show than before. As expected of the #1 boss on the galaxy's hatred list. The 12th summit wasn't something that could be completed in a day. Just discussing the issue of piracy would take several days. From the various parties raising the issue of piracy in their own areas, to the discussion, to the debate, and finally to the conclusion and conclusion. In short, it was a long process. Not to mention the changes to the interstellar law. The 6 galaxies had a common set of interstellar laws that was applicable to everyone. It was known as the Common Interstellar Law. However, each galaxy had its own interstellar law. It was an autonomous interstellar law. Just one clause of the interstellar law was enough for people to discuss. Hence, the time needed for this discussion was endless. At the end of the first day of the summit, His Majesty and Shang Guanpu immediately left. The royal family's current position was very awkward. They couldn't afford to offend the 6 big families. Family head Shi. Mu-E called out to Shi Shang, who was about to leave. I want to talk to you. Family head Mu, I don't think we have anything to talk about. Shi Shang's lips curved into a smile. Her face was bright and flamboyant, not losing out to any celebrity in the galaxy. Yet, There was a hint of devilishness to it that made people feel uncomfortable. Their attention wouldn't be on her beauty, but on her evil intentions. Shi Shang walked past Mu Yi. Even if I know something, I won't tell you. The rest of the family members watched in silence. They had their own plans. Shi Shang walked out of the venue. Outside, the hovercars of the various families were parked. It was quite a spectacular sight. Shi Feng and the Zhonlong guards were waiting outside. When they saw her coming out, they immediately greeted her and protected her in the middle. Family head, did they embarrass you? Shi Shang's tone was arrogant. Do they think they can embarrass me? Shi Feng certainly understood that these people couldn't embarrass her, but this was his duty as a Zhonlong guard. Family head, do you want to go back to the hotel? No, you take them back first. You don't have to follow me. Shi Feng frowned and emphasized. Family head, this is the capital star. The capital star was someone else's territory, not their blue planet. What if someone wanted to harm her? She had so many dark histories. Almost the entire galaxy, no, the entire universe was full of enemies. The people who wanted her life circled the entire galaxy several times. I know this is the capital star. I have my own plans. You can go back. Shi Shang waved and added, Don't worry, I'll take Shunxing with me. Nothing will happen. Then family head, please contact me if you need anything. I know. Shi Feng, I haven't seen you for 3 months. How did you become so long-winded? Shi Feng wasn't so talkative before. Shi Feng was silent for a moment and said in a low voice, I'm afraid. Shi Shang lowered his eyes. Shi Feng, don't lose your mind. I understand. Shi Feng looked up and said firmly, In my heart, family head will always be my master. Nothing will change. That's good. Shi Shang patted him on the shoulder. Go back. Yes. Shi Shang drove off in a hover car. Shi Feng watched her car disappear before retracting his gaze. His expression was as solemn as ever, not revealing a hint of emotion, as if he was an AI programmed to do so. When Shi Shang arrived at Frost Moon Street, he saw Ji Yi there. Just like her that day, he stood in front of the gate full of vines with his head lowered. She couldn't see his expression clearly. Perhaps sensing Shi Shang approaching, he looked over slightly and said gently, Shi Shang. What are you doing here? Shi Shang's voice was so cold that it seemed to be frozen. Ji Yi didn't answer. After a few seconds of silence, he said, Why did you come back? Shi Shang's face was cold. Does it have anything to do with you? He sighed heavily. Don't kill for nothing. You know that we're different from others. You've killed so many people and you're not afraid of this. Even if I die and go to hell, I'll accept it. Shi Shang interrupted Ji Yi. I don't need you to warn me. Ji Yi, mind your own business. It's none of your business. Shi Shang, why can't you just listen to me? Shi Shang listened to him with a half smile. That smile was so sarcastic that it stabbed straight into his heart like a sharp thorn. Some images involuntarily flashed through his mind, but he managed to suppress those memories in time. His face was slightly pale, but fortunately, the light was not bright at the moment, so it covered his paleness well. Ji Yi lowered his head and walked toward Shi Shang. When he brushed past him, he said softly, We don't want to repeat what happened back then. Don't go overboard. Chapter 1384. Ji Yi returned to the hotel and bumped into Patriarch Yen and his grandson, Yen Lin, at the restaurant. Patriarch Yen invited him to join them. Ji Yi couldn't refuse. After ordering, Patriarch Yen asked Ji Yi, Patriarch Ji, have you been there? Ji Yi was in low spirits. Yes, I happened to meet her. Patriarch Yen sighed. Sigh. Frost Moon Street should have been demolished long ago. I heard from the members of the council that the proposal was brought up several times, but there was no result. She didn't allow it. That was why the members of the council had brought up the proposal several times, but there was no result. Because she didn't allow that place to be demolished, even if it was abandoned. Grandpa, is she really that powerful? Yen Lin asked curiously. After hearing too many rumors, it would sometimes make people suspicious. Patriarch Yen glanced at his grandson. She suppressed those old farts of the Shi family in town and the direct descendants. Don't you think she's powerful? Yen Lin, don't underestimate her. Remember what Grandpa told you. Isn't she a direct descendant? Patriarch Yen shook his head. No. Yen Lin's eyes widened slightly. He hesitated. Then, how did she become the patriarch? Among the 6 major families, only the direct descendants could inherit the position of patriarch. In the past, there would be situations where they didn't have any heirs, but this was the interstellar era. Such a situation wouldn't happen at all. The Yen family head took a sip of tea. The fragrance of the tea lingered in his mouth. After a long while, he said faintly, "You are not qualified to know these things. When you are on the same level as her, you will know everything that you should know." On equal footing? Ji Yi shook his head with a bitter smile. Only they could comfort themselves with these words. She had never intended to be on equal footing with them. Patriarch Yen changed the topic. "Why do you think she came to the capital star this time?" I asked, but she didn't say. Ji Yi paused. "I think she's not here with good intentions. We have to be vigilant. We're not the ones who should be worried. It's the group associated with the royal family." Ji Yi didn't answer Patriarch Yen, but it was a tacit agreement. The ones who should be worried were the royal family. Ji Yi and Patriarch Yen finished their meal and went upstairs. Ji Xian was already asleep. He sat by the bed and touched her forehead gently. Perhaps it was because Ji Xian had not fallen asleep yet. She opened her eyes in a daze and said softly, "Brother Yi, you're back? Did I wake you up?" Ji Yi adjusted the blanket for her. "Go to sleep." Ji Xian grabbed Ji Ye's hand. "Brother Yi, sleep with me." "Little Xian. I'm Big Brother Ye's fiancé. There's nothing wrong with sleeping with Big Brother Yi." Ji Xian's grip tightened. Her voice was very soft as she stammered out a sentence. Ji Yi was a little helpless. "Xiao Xian, we're not married yet. Be good and sleep on your own." "I'm scared." Ji Xian pulled a long face and hugged Ji Ye's waist. Ji Yi heaved a heavy sigh. "Fine, fine. I'm really scared of you." Ji Xian immediately moved inwards to make room for Ji Yi. Ji Yi hesitated for a moment and lay down beside her. Ji Xian clung to him like an octopus and leaned her head against his chest. "Brother Yi, are you unhappy?" "No. You are. I can feel it." "I'll leave if you ask me again." "I won't ask you again." Shi Shang did not return that night. The next day, she went straight to the venue. The summit proceeded in an orderly manner. However, Shi Shang was bored. She did not hear anything about Feng Ci from these messages. On the other hand, the various forces were fighting more and more fiercely. The administrative planet blamed the 6 major families, and the 6 major families blamed the administrative planet. There were all kinds of pushing and shoving, and it was very lively. Shi Shang either came in to eat melon seeds or play games. She was comparable to His Majesty's mascot. After eating melon seeds and playing games, the group of people was still arguing. Shi Shang logged into the star web, clicked on a web page, and skillfully logged into her account. As soon as she logged in, she was bombarded by messages from the back end. She had not had time to update since she came back. Her readers were going crazy after not updating for 3 months. They bombarded her all the time. "Boss, are you still updating? You haven't updated for 2 months. Boss, are you still alive? Boss, please update." Shi Shang looked at the last update and was a little confused. She decisively logged out. It was better to deal with Feng Ci first. Her brain was not enough recently. It was not easy for the people on the other side to finish arguing. There were still those strange organizations to report, and naturally, it caused all kinds of arguments. When the summit began, Shangguan Pu's opening line changed. "Today, We will only discuss one topic. It's about how to deal with N1. Shi Shang realized that the people present were a little strange. They did not start arguing after Shangguan Pu finished speaking. Instead, they were all silent. What's N1? Shi Shang turned to ask His Majesty the mascot. You don't know? His Majesty the mascot was very surprised. Everyone present looked over. There were many people present who did not know, but everyone was silent. Under the influence of the atmosphere, they also fell silent. Should I know? Shi Shang was puzzled. His Majesty the mascot was a little embarrassed. Although not everyone knew about this, with the Shi family's ability, it should be impossible for them not to know. Shangguan Pu quickly smoothed things over and broke the strange atmosphere. Cough, cough. We will ask the person in charge to come out and explain the specific situation in detail. Shangguan Pu left from the middle, and a woman came in from outside. She was a very beautiful woman with wavy hair. She was wearing a low-cut red tight-fitting dress. The skirt reached her thighs, revealing her slender and fair legs. Her lips were flaming red, and her every movement revealed the seductive charm of a mature woman. Hello everyone, I am Ji Na, the Deputy Director of the Space Administration. Space Administration? Wasn't this thing banned? Why did it appear again? And it even appeared at the summit. What's going on? The Space Administration is an organization that deceives people. Your Majesty, why did you let them attend the summit? The theory of the Space Administration was that there were many parallel worlds in this world. They were just a small world among the 3,000 worlds. However, when this theory was put forward, it was not accepted by everyone. Perhaps there really were parallel worlds, but the Space Administration could not prove that they could reach other parallel worlds. Since they could not reach other parallel worlds, then there was no point for them to exist. Therefore, the Space Administration was an organization that was not recognized. It was also the black organization that Shi Shang said did not have a business license. In the face of everyone's doubts, Ji Na smiled and waited for them to finish arguing. Ji Na's eyes fell on Shi Shang. As for whether the Space Administration is an organization that deceives people, I believe that the head of the Shi family has the most right to say. What does this have to do with the head of the Shi family? Your Majesty, are you going to let this liar do whatever she wants here? Your Majesty, drive her out. Everyone's reaction was intense. In contrast, Shi Shang was very calm. He just glanced at Ji Na and said in a calm voice, "The 3,000 worlds do exist." The noisy hall suddenly quieted down, and everyone's eyes focused on Shi Shang. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Don't you want to know what the Shi family's ability is? The reason why the 6 great families could stand at the top of the pyramid was that they had a long history, ancient inheritance, and mysterious power. However, very few people knew what their ability was. Shi Shang looked up and scanned the crowd. The Shi family has the ability to travel to parallel worlds. Chapter 1385. Everyone was dumbfounded. Was this real? Everyone knew that the 6 families were so powerful that they must have the ability to exist. Now that everyone could fight in the universe, they had seen mysterious forces before. There were so many strange things in the universe, and they had seen so many miracles that they could still withstand this shock. Since the Shi family has this ability, are they in cahoots with the Space Administration? Shi Shang sneered. I have nothing to do with them. Ji Na smiled and said, Of course. The Shi family relies on ancient inheritance, while we rely on advanced technology. There is a big difference between the two. Everyone whispered to each other. Since the Shi family has proven that they exist, what do you want to discuss with us today? Shi Shang would not lie. If she dared to say it, she would definitely do it. She was not afraid of being coveted. It's about a person. Ji Na's eyes were fixed on Shi Shang. Shi Shang's expression was indifferent, but in her heart, she had already cursed every single member of the Space Control Department down to their ancestors several times. They were here for her. Ji Na tapped on her personal terminal a few times, and a hologram appeared in the middle. It was a room made of black materials. There were chains as thick as an arm on the ground, and all the chains were connected to a person. To be precise, it was a thin young man. His head was lowered, and his long hair completely covered his face. His clothes were stained with blood. At this moment, he looked like a lifeless broken doll that had been thrown there. He is N1. Ji-na put away the hologram. N1 is his code name. His name is Feng Ci. Shi Shang's eyes were still fixed on the hologram. She did not move her eyes away. She just stared at it. Ji-na's smile deepened, and her eyes fell on the confused people. Let me tell you something, and you may know who he is. 100 years ago, hundreds of planets at the edge of the Red Crescent system were destroyed overnight. After that, planets in other systems began to be destroyed. This incident should have left a deep impression on everyone, right? Of course. What does this have to do with him? Wasn't the murderer caught long ago and dealt with through interstellar law? Someone questioned. Basically, everyone who was over 100 years old had personally experienced that calamity. Those who hadn't experienced it had heard of it from others. So many planets were destroyed inexplicably. No matter if they were inhabited planets, energy planets, or desolate planets, none of them were spared. The culprit behind this incident was caught not long after. After interrogation, it was revealed that he had discovered a special type of energy that could make an entire planet disappear with just a small amount. At that time, everyone hated the culprit to the core. Gina lifted her seductive red lips. Do you know what that energy is? Everyone looked at each other. You don't know? Because there is no new energy source at all. The person who caused all this is N1. Everyone. What? Alone? How could one person destroy so many planets? What kind of joke was this? Even the Red Crescent Galaxy, which had the strongest military, could not completely destroy a planet in a short period of time. Gina released several holographic images to prove that what she said was true. It was the scene of a planet being destroyed. A perfectly fine planet suddenly burned in the universe and then exploded with a boom. In the middle of the explosion, there was a young man. His back was facing them. He just stood in the universe without any help. He was wearing a retro and elegant long robe. It was white and covered with black thorny patterns. At the moment when the planet exploded, the shockwave swept over and raised the hem of his robe. Those thorns seemed to be growing out. Now, humans could travel freely in the universe, but they still had to rely on things like spaceships, starships, and mechas. No one could stand in the universe without any equipment. Oh no, there was one person who could. Shi Sheng. When she had fought with Red Crescent, she had destroyed one of their super mechas in the universe. It was just that no one had managed to capture any footage, so everyone felt that it was a little exaggerated. Perhaps it was the location, or perhaps it was the mecha she had used. In any case, they just did not believe that she could defeat an ultra mecha in space without any equipment. Many people doubted whether this was true or not. After watching the video, everyone fell into an eerie silence. After a while, someone broke the silence. Even if this is true, what is the purpose of your visit today? Obviously, this person had hit the nail on the head. Gina curled her red lips and said, Today, I am here to discuss how to deal with him. The Space Administration can't do anything to him, but I know that the 6 families can. You have ancient inheritance and mysterious power. As soon as Gina finished speaking, Shi Shang stood up and glanced around. I want this person. If you have any opinions, hold them. Master Shi, what do you mean? Gina looked confused. I want him. Shi Shang looked straight at Gina. You tried so hard to plot against me. Didn't you wait for me to say this? She kicked the chair away and walked out. Her voice was so loud that everyone was startled. When she walked out of the door, everyone heard her voice. You can hide him. If worst comes to worst, I will massacre the capital star again. Everyone was speechless. Massacre the capital star? EXM. She's here for someone. Master Yen approached Ji Yi. I didn't expect that she would leave the capital star for someone else and come back for someone else. It seems that a lot of things happened in those 3 months that we don't know about. Ji Yi was a little worried. She won't massacre the capital star again, will she? Master Yen looked at Gina, who was still smiling. That depends on whether they will hand over the person or not. The 6 families knew each other's abilities, so they were the first group of people to trust the Space Administration. But they didn't know what they were doing. If they pushed her too far, it would be difficult to clean up the mess. Master Yen, do you know about this N1? He had never heard of it. After such a big thing happened, the Space Administration suppressed it. Master Yen shook his head and seemed to know what Ji Yi was wondering. He explained, the Space Administration has existed for a long time. There are many capable people among them, so it's not surprising that they can hide it from us. Don't underestimate the Space Administration. It's not a deceiving organization. It's very deep. Ji Yi certainly understood that, but he was still confused. They are coming for her. Why? Who knows? Master Yen smiled and patted Ji Yi on the shoulder like an elder. Master Ji, we don't need to care too much about these things. Thank you for your advice, Grandpa Yen. Ji Yi changed the way he addressed Master Yen. Master Yan's smile grew wider, and he looked like a cunning fox. Let's go. We can't continue the meeting today. They have achieved their goal. Who would dare to take her away from that person? Chapter 1386. Shi Shang came out with a gloomy face and came out so early. Shi Feng immediately became alert. Patriarch, what's wrong? Shi Shang glanced at him and restrained the coldness on his face. Do you know where the base of the Time Control Department is? Time Control Department? Shi Feng was confused. Wasn't this thing called a fraud organization by outsiders? Why was the master suddenly asking about them? Although he was confused, Shi Feng quickly checked his personal terminal. There's no information about them. Master, what happened? Shi Shang smiled sinisterly. Tell the Zhanlong guards on the blue planet to prepare. We might be fighting soon. Shi Feng. If the master mentioned fighting, then something was definitely going to happen. Ever since the master left the capital star, the only time the Zhanlong guards could fight was when the master was provoking people everywhere and other people sent troops to pick a fight. The rest of the time, they had nothing to do. Wait here. When you see this woman, invite her here. Shi Shang showed Shi Feng Ji Na's photo. Should I invite her horizontally or vertically? Shi Feng memorized Ji Na's face and wondered how this person offended the master. Horizontally meant that no matter what method was used, as long as he got her here. Vertically, he had to be more polite. Generally speaking, the master liked to invite people horizontally. Very few people could be invited vertically. Whatever. Shi Feng understood that it wasn't important. It was fine as long as she was alive. When the master didn't want her alive, he usually said to get rid of her. It was very much like a mafia boss. However, they were a proper family, not a mafia. Although the Shi family was outside, they were no different from a mafia. Shi Feng waited outside the venue. The people inside came out one by one. Ji Na was a little behind and was talking to Shangguan Pu. They seemed to be having a good conversation. When Ji Na saw Shi Feng, she immediately stopped talking. The master of the Shi family sent someone to wait for me. Third Prince, you don't have to send me off. You really want to go? Shangguan Pu glanced at Shi Feng and the corner of his mouth twitched. Shi Feng was actually waiting for her personally. It's my duty. Ji Na smiled. Thank you for your concern. Be careful. Shangguan Pu wanted to say something but stopped. In the end, Gina left first. He watched Gina follow Shi Feng into the floating car. His expression changed. Finally, he sighed and caught up with the royal team. Gina had been very calm the entire time. She didn't oppose Shi Feng's arrangements and statements. She listened to everything he said, which surprised Shi Feng. This was too cooperative. However, Shi Shang had no intention of seeing her. He let her stay in the hotel alone and even sent someone to watch over her. Other than forbidding her from going out, he did not restrict her from doing anything else. At first, Gina didn't seem to be in a hurry, but later, she became a little restless. "Where is your family leader?" Gina didn't know how many times she had asked. Shifeng's answer was as concise as ever. "Master is busy." "What is she busy with?" Shifeng's face was stern. "We have no right to ask about the patriarch's matters." Gina glanced at him. This man had been with her for the longest time, and he was the person she trusted the most. It was impossible to get any breakthrough from him. Gina went back to her room and walked up and down. Ding! The personal terminal on Gina's wrist flashed, and a black screen was projected in the air. She couldn't see anything. "She doesn't want to see me." "Wait patiently. She will see you." In the darkness, a clear male voice sounded, "When dealing with her, no matter what she says, don't panic. Most of the time, she's just guessing. As long as you remember this, you won't be at a disadvantage. She guesses too accurately." The corner of Gina's mouth twitched. "She is very observant. She can speculate from your subtle reactions. Sometimes, you might not think much of an unintentional sentence, but she can get the information she wants from it. Gina, answer whatever she asks. Don't mention anything that has nothing to do with our purpose." Gina took a deep breath. "Yes." The black screen disappeared, and the room became quiet again. Gina collapsed on the sofa, looking tired. This job was not easy. After Gina had been worried for a few days, Shifeng finally called her and told her that she could go see Shisheng. Gina changed into a fiery red tight dress and stood at the door for a few minutes. Then she pushed the door open and followed Shifeng upstairs. It was very quiet on the top floor. The Zhanlong guards stood in the corridor like statues, standing still. "Miss Gina, Master is waiting for you inside." Shifeng only took her to the door, opened it, and gestured for her to go in. Gina calmed herself down and entered the room. The room was very big. She looked around and saw someone in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. She walked around the sofa and stood behind her. "Master Shi, it is more difficult to see you than to see His Majesty." The girl stood with her hands behind her back. She was wearing casual clothes, and her hair was tied up casually. She looked like she had just gotten up and exercised. She didn't look back. She just said calmly, "Otherwise, how can I be worthy of your efforts?" Gina smiled. Although the people in front of her couldn't see her, she had to be in her best state. "Master Shi, let's not beat around the bush. I think you already know why I am here." Shisheng suddenly turned around. The girl smiled, and her clear voice sounded in the room. "Don't worry. Let's talk about something else." "Gina, what kind of development is this? It's different from what I thought." "Calm down. Master Shi, what do you want to talk about?" Shisheng's fingers moved in the air, and a holographic image suddenly appeared. "Let's talk about your sister, Ji Wei." Gina's whole body tensed up. Her eyes fell on the holographic image. She was a little stiff, and her heart was beating fast. "No." Gina quickly calmed down. "Master Shi, I'm afraid you are mistaken. I don't have a sister, and I don't have any family." Shisheng narrowed his eyes as if he didn't hear her. "Do you see what your sister is holding?" Gina looked over subconsciously. The girl in the image was holding a toy. Her pale face was full of smiles, and she seemed to be very happy. From the angle of the image, Gina could see the Zhanlong guards standing outside the ward. No one except the Zhanlong guards dared to use the golden dragon pattern. She hadn't seen her for so long, and she was looking for her weakness. "If you don't answer my question properly, your sister, I'm afraid you will be separated from her forever." Shisheng's voice sounded. It was a very pleasant voice, but it sounded so gloomy in Gina's ears. "She is still a child." Gina found her voice after a long time. "So what?" Shisheng tilted his head, and the smile on the corner of his mouth deepened. You have what I want, and you want to threaten me. Now, I am using her as a bargaining chip. There is nothing wrong with that. We are all the same. Don't talk to me about humanity and conscience. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to make it. How did you know? Gina came back to herself and asked in a loud voice. Shi Feng's expression was solemn. If the patriarch wants to know, he will know. I won't disturb Miss Gina. Shi Feng left with the Zhanlong guards. The Zhanlong guards at her door also left. Gina swallowed hard and dialed the number with trembling fingers. The call got through quickly. I'll be there in an hour. Don't worry. Did she do anything to you? No. Hearing the familiar voice, Gina calmed down. Director, how does she know so much in such a short time? The director was silent for a moment. She has an artificial intelligence. I suspect that she brought it out from that place. Director, you're saying, it's what you think. If the artificial intelligence in her hands really came from that place, it's not strange that she found out so quickly. Gina's expression became even worse. She's been there? There's no place in the 6 major galaxies that she hasn't been to. I just contacted Little One and deduced this matter. Whether it's true or not, I have to confirm it before I can make a conclusion. He paused. What did she use to threaten you? Ji Wei. Gina's voice became weaker. I'm sorry, Director. It's something that she would do. She still has a bottom line. Since you said so, she won't hurt Ji Wei. I'll send someone to pick her up immediately. Don't worry. I'm sorry. There's nothing to apologize for. A person with weaknesses is a person of flesh and blood. Take her for example. I really don't know what her weakness is after that incident. She'd better not disappoint me after such a big trap. Why her? Gina asked a question that the system had once asked. It has to be her. The director was silent for a few seconds. Do you know why so many people are afraid of her? Gina didn't know why the director asked such a question. She thought for a while before answering. She's very powerful, smart, and cold-blooded and heartless. That's right. Gina looked at the call that had been hung up. What was right? Cold-blooded and heartless? She was cold-blooded and heartless to begin with. She would fall out with someone like Shi and Shirlan. What was her previous question? Why did he choose her? Because she was cold-blooded and heartless. Gina was puzzled. What kind of cause and effect was this? An ordinary hovercar stopped at the entrance of the hotel. Before the waiter waiting outside could go forward, he saw the Zhanlong guards coming out of the hall aggressively and heading straight for the hovercar. The waiter hesitated and gave up on going over. What a joke, that was the Zhanlong guards. The hovercar opened and a man got out. The man had golden hair that shone under the sun. The man was very young and handsome, but there was a ruffian smile on his lips. He didn't look like a proper person. He looked at the person standing at the front of the Zhanlong guards and opened his arms enthusiastically, wanting to hug him. Shi Feng, long time no see. Shi Feng avoided him coldly. Your Excellency Caesar, we don't know each other well. Caesar sighed. Shi Feng, are you angry with me? I wouldn't dare. Shi Feng took a step back and gestured for Caesar to go first. Your Excellency Caesar, you should think about how to explain it to the family head. Shi Feng, when she attacks later, you have to stop her. Caesar winked at Shi Feng. Shi Feng continued to refuse coldly. I wouldn't dare. Caesar. He looked up at the towering hotel and restrained his expression. He walked into the hotel with the aura of a proper person. Shi Feng followed him from a distance. Both of them were silent. When Caesar reached Shishang's door, he said, Shi Feng, I had no choice but to do that back then. With that, he pushed open the door and strode in. Shishang was still sitting on the sofa. It seemed that she hadn't moved since Gina left. When Caesar entered, she only looked up and sneered. You faked your death once. You've become bolder. Chapter 1388. Little Shang, we haven't seen each other for so many years. Is this how you welcome me? Caesar chuckled. He didn't wait for Shi Shang to ask him to sit. He sat across from Shi Shang, crossed his legs, and looked into Shi Shang's eyes. Shi Shang glanced at him indifferently. We haven't seen each other for so many years. Is this how you set me up? Caesar raised his eyebrows, and the crooked smile on his face returned. Isn't there a saying that friends are meant to be set up? Your name isn't on my list of friends. Shi Shang's voice was calm. Don't be so heartless. We used to fight side by side. If we don't have any friendship, how can we not have any comradeship? The one who fought side by side with you was Shi Feng, not me. Caesar was speechless. He took a deep breath and put away his frivolous attitude. In an instant, he became a mature and steady man. Shi Shang, what I'm about to say is very important. I hope you can listen carefully. Take me to see Feng Ci first. We can talk about other things after he comes back to me. Shi Shang's expression was cold, as if she was talking about something unrelated to her. If it weren't for you, the space administration would have been long gone. Don't challenge my bottom line. Shi Shang's last sentence made Caesar swallow everything he wanted to say. All right, I'll take you to see him first. Caesar stood up. You still care about old times. Shi Shang didn't say anything. She also stood up and went inside to change into her black dress. She walked in front of Caesar and raised her head slightly to look at him. The sunlight from outside shone into her eyes and dyed her dark pupils a warm color, but there was no warmth in them at all. Caesar, you know very well why I didn't do anything. Do you think I have such a thing as old times? I'll treat it as returning your favor and won't pursue the matter. But from now on, no matter how you plan to set me up, I'll return it to you one by one. Thank you for saving that person's life. That person saved my life. Caesar clasped his hands together and looked very sincere. That person's name was almost taboo, so it was better not to mention it. If it weren't for this debt, he really wouldn't have dared to do anything to her. Just as she said, if she didn't know that he was the one behind all these things, the space administration would have been long gone. From today onwards, he would be completely blacklisted by her and she would be ready to kill him at any time. Just thinking about it gave Caesar a headache. Why didn't he save her a few more times? Fortunately, he still had a trump card. Caesar still remembered the first time he saw her. She was still a little lowly. She was really a little lowly. She was only 11 or 12 years old. However, it was not a good scene. She was covered in blood, and her first reaction when she saw him was to kill him. But before she could do anything, she was caught. He saw the look in her eyes before she left. It was cold and gloomy. It was not the look of a child. Later on, the first time he met her was during a battle with pirates. She became more and more gloomy, and the entire pirate gang was wiped out by her. The third time they met, the gloominess on her body had disappeared, leaving only an unfathomable calmness. He knew that she had not changed for the better. Instead, she had learned how to control her emotions and how to be an unpredictable person. That was also the first time he saw that person beside her. It was an accident that he had saved that person. However, it was because of that accident that he had started to interact with her. She might have forgotten what they had met a long time ago. The way she looked at him was no different from how she looked at other people. It was cold and calm. When Caesar came to himself, he was already standing in front of a building. Caesar keyed in the password skillfully. The heavy metal door opened. Inside, there was a small path leading to an unknown place. The path was surrounded by green bamboos, which did not match the advanced door at all. Shi Shang hadn't brought anyone with her. She had come alone. She followed Caesar through the door, and the heavy metal door slowly closed behind her. Caesar led her forward. The path was very long. He couldn't help but ask, "How did you know?" Shi Shang understood what he was trying to say despite the fact that he didn't have a head or tail. But Face said he didn't belong to the alliance. There are not many people who are so powerful and dare to set me up. I just did a check. Shi Shang said calmly. Then how did you suspect me? Do you want to know? Caesar nodded. He wanted to know where the loopholes were so that he could make improvements. You have a habit when you write the source code. Unfortunately, I remember it. Caesar. What habit? Did he have one? Why didn't he know about it? She wasn't making things up, was she? While Caesar was doubting himself, they reached the end of the path. A black pagoda-like building appeared in front of them. It was made of the same material as the holographic image that Gina had shown him. Caesar walked to the front of the pagoda and opened the door. The interior of the pagoda was similar to an ordinary pagoda. However, the things inside were completely high-tech. The first floor of the pagoda seemed to be an office. There were many white metal desks and holographic projections in the air. Many people in uniform were busying themselves in the crowd. When Caesar came in with someone, everyone looked over. Caesar ignored them. He led Shi Shang down the spiral staircase. There was a monitoring room on the first floor. Caesar asked the people in the monitoring room to go out and find Feng Xi's room. The young man was still in the same position that Gina had shown him. Shi Shang looked at Caesar and said, I want to see him. Caesar pulled out a chair and sat down. He said earnestly, Shi Shang, it's not that I don't want to take you to see him. It's that you can't see him. He has a very violent power around him. Anyone who gets close to him will die. Oh, then how did you put him in there? Caesar explained, when I caught him, he was very weak. Not long ago, his power started to recover. No one can get close to him. I want to see him. Shi Shang's voice became louder. Caesar looked at Shi Shang. He struggled for a moment and said, I can let you in, but let me finish first. Shi Shang took out his sword. Now, let me see him. Caesar. He took out his sword without saying anything. What the hell? He gritted his teeth. Come with me. He took Shi Shang down 3 floors and stood in front of a metal door. He opened the door and said, Don't say that I didn't warn you. No matter how strong you are, you can get hurt if you get close to him. Shi Shang didn't say anything. The metal door opened. Caesar was furious. He pointed at a path behind the metal door. Go down this path and turn left. Asterisk, this is a fake group. Caesar, I think there's something wrong with the way I appeared. Don't other people's murderers always appear very strong? Why do I have to run over to see her? Little fairy, that's someone else's home. Cherub, that's someone else's home +1 all residents of the 6 galaxies. That's someone else's home +1 system. That's someone else's home +1 Caesar. Whose side are you on? System. Did I say something wrong? I don't think so. Master, check if I've been poisoned. Shi Shang, I think it's broken. Go back to the furnace and rebuild it. System. Master, save me. Caesar, I can't even save myself. Save yourself. System, I'm going to betray you. Caesar. Chapter 1389. The passageway was narrow, and the temperature seemed to have risen. Shi Shang tugged at her collar in annoyance. She stared at the passageway in front of her, where she could not see anything. Her steps were neither fast nor slow. The corner was right in front of her. She suddenly paused. What if Feng Xi wanted something different from her? Shi Shang stared blankly at the empty space. No matter what, she wanted him. Even if he was tied to her side, she wanted him. Shi Shang took a deep breath, lifted her foot and turned the corner. Her field of vision widened, and the room in the holographic image appeared in her sight. Thick iron chains snaked across the ground. Her gaze followed the chains upwards. The young man was barefoot. His ankles were chained and worn black. Shi Shang's eyebrows twitched. Her gaze continued upwards. One of his hands was hanging by his side, while the other was casually resting across his abdomen. There were also traces of the chains on his wrists. Just as her gaze moved to his face, she suddenly met his eyes. She didn't even have time to see what kind of emotions were in those eyes before a strange power spread out from the room. The air around her seemed to have been sucked away. Shi Shang was thrown to the wall behind her by that strange force. The cold wall made her react immediately. She pulled out her iron sword and waved it beside her with difficulty. The force seemed to cut through, and Shi Shang's stiff body immediately became flexible. She swung her iron sword wildly in the air to create space for herself to move. King retard. She looked into the room. The young man had stood up at some point. He was quietly looking at her through the transparent glass. Perhaps it was because he had been here for a long time, but the young man's skin was sickly white. His blood vessels were clearly visible. The young man looked very cute. A very beautiful young man. So beautiful that he was cute. Shi Shang was slightly stunned. This was a little different from the Feng Ci she had imagined. She had thought of various versions of him, but she did not expect him to be associated with the word cute. His eyes were extremely cold, but there was darkness and evil hidden in the depths of his eyes. It was as if it would not matter if everything in this world was destroyed. Even though he had a cute face, it couldn't hide his sinister aura, which made people shudder. Shi Shang took a deep breath. In the past, Feng Ci's personality was more or less similar to his. This was the real him. But what could he do? She really wanted him. His appearance was too much. The air around them became even more turbulent. Shi Shang cleaved a path through the air and strode toward him. The distance between the two of them shortened. The young man's eyes moved, and the power that she had dispersed came pressing over once again. It was ferocious, as if it wanted to crush her into powder. Feng Ci. Shi Shang was enraged as she shouted at him, "Are you trying to kill me?" The young man was stunned for a moment, and his dead heart began to beat again. She was here. The power in the air receded like a tide. He moved his dry lips and said in a hoarse voice, "Are you here to pick me up?" Shi Shang walked to the transparent glass and said word by word, "I'm here to take you home." Home. The young man stared at her. His eyes moved slightly, and he reached out to cover the glass in front of him. With a crack, the glass cracked and fell to the ground like a spider web. He walked out of the room, and the metal chains clanged as he moved. She was right in front of him, but he suddenly couldn't move forward. He turned to look at the metal chains behind him. The chains were connected to the wall behind him. He tugged at them, but they didn't budge. The young man frowned and turned to look at Shi Shang. The person on the other side stepped over the broken glass and hugged him. The young man didn't hug her. His hands hung by his side, and he even moved back. He buried his head in her neck and bit her. Shi Shang's body trembled, but he didn't make a sound. He bit down hard, and after a while he let go and licked her neck gently. "I missed you." She no longer existed in his dreams. He was finally within reach. "Yes, I missed you too. We don't need a grand reunion, and we don't need touching words. You're already in my blood, bone marrow, and soul. You're all I have." Shi Shang let go of him. "I'll take you out first." The young man was very obedient and stood still quietly. "Can you open it yourself?" Shi Shang looked at the metal chain in his hand, his eyes cold. The young man shook his head. Shi Shang reached out to touch the metal chain, but the young man blocked him and put his hand behind his back. Shi Shang frowned. "What's wrong?" "There's a strange power on it." The young man's voice was very soft. "It'll hurt you." Shi Shang took a deep breath and looked up into the void. "Caesar, get over here." Caesar, who had been watching the surveillance footage, was shocked. He pressed on the holographic screen. "Shi Shang, I can't open that thing either." "Say that again." "I'm telling the truth. I don't have to lie to you. I really can't open it." "Who can open it?" Caesar suddenly fell silent. Shi Shang looked at the metal chain. Her attention was all on Feng Ci just now, so she didn't look at it carefully. Now that she looked at it carefully, she felt very uncomfortable. F***CK. Shishang, you saw it. This was made by that person. No one can open it unless that person comes in person. Caesar's voice was a bit depressed. He had no choice but to use this. If he knew it would end up like this, he wouldn't have done it. Unfortunately, there was no such thing as earlier in this world. Shishang hugged Feng Ci and comforted him. Don't be afraid. I'll find a way. Shishang took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. The iron sword could cut open the metal chain, but Feng Ci would suffer a backlash. This method wouldn't work. Shishang contacted Shifeng in the hotel. Master. Shifeng looked at the strange environment on Shishang's side and couldn't help but sound nervous. Go back to the blue planet and get the red sandalwood box I put in the study. Master. Are you okay? I'm fine. Go. That box is. Shifeng paused and remembered his duty. I'll go now. The news of Shifeng leaving the Imperial Capital Star with a small group of Zhanlong guards quickly spread. No one knew why they suddenly left, just like no one knew why Shishang came to the Imperial Capital Star. Does it hurt? Shishang looked at the marks on his wrist. Feng Ci sat on the ground and shook his head. No. Seeing you, any pain is not worth mentioning. For the first time, Shishang truly felt sorry for him. He wanted to carry him back and pamper him. I'm sorry for making you wait so long. Shishang sat beside him and pulled him into his arms. Feng Ci carefully removed the chain and leaned half his body against Shishang. No matter how long it took, I waited for you. That's enough. He paused. You'll take me out and stay with me forever, right? Shishang planted a kiss on his forehead. I'll take you out and stay with you forever. My heart ached for Wasi. Was Wasi's identity a surprise? Was it a surprise? Ha 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 ha. Hashtag today's spicy ticket hashtag it's Friday, little cuties. It's the end of the month. There's no point in keeping the ticket. Hurry up and vote. Chapter 1390. During Shifeng's trip, Shishang never left. Caesar thought that Feng Ci's power had disappeared, so he secretly ran in. Who knew that he would feel that power before he even got close? He didn't dare to go up and seek death. Shishang, it's boring to wait anyway. Why don't you listen to me? Caesar's voice was amplified by the loudspeaker throughout the entire space. Shishang looked at the empty space in annoyance and took out Xinxing. Block this place. Yes, Master. Caesar. You can't play like this. Caesar watched as the holographic image in front of him turned blank. His eyes dimmed a little. With such a fast speed, it seemed that they were close. Shishang asked Shifeng's location as usual. Where are you? Shifeng was a little confused. He walked a few steps and the image stabilized. Master, we encountered pirates. They have a super mecha. We were stopped. They saw the Shi family's logo and stopped? Yes. I know. I'll ask Xinxing to help you and rush back as fast as possible. Yes. With Xinxing's help, they interfered with the pirates' battleship system. Shifeng got rid of the pirates and rushed back to the capital star as fast as possible. Shifeng didn't dare to enter the passage. As soon as he entered, he could feel the terrifying power just like Caesar. Shishang had to go out and get it himself. Shifeng held the box and didn't dare to hand it to Shishang for a long time. Master, this thing. Shishang looked at him calmly. Shifeng gritted his teeth and handed the box over. Master, is he very important to you? Yes. Compared to... They can't be compared. Shishang interrupted Shifeng. Shifeng wisely shut up and watched Shishang enter the passage. Caesar reached out and patted Shifeng's shoulder. Shifeng looked at him coldly. Your Excellency Caesar, your hand is precious. It's better not to touch people like me. Caesar, was it necessary? He withdrew his hand gloomily. Shi Feng. Shi Feng now ignored him and walked straight out. He still had to deal with the pirates. Those pirates clearly knew that it was the Shi family, yet they still dared to stop him. There must be something fishy going on. Shi Shang's notoriety not only made the people of the 6 major galaxies hate him, but also made the pirates gnash their teeth in hatred. However, they were also afraid of him. The blue planet was located at the edge of the Nether Galaxy, but the pirates had never dared to set their sights on the blue planet. Why were they so bold this time? Shi Shang returned with the box. Feng Xi looked up and his gaze landed on the box in her hands. What's that? Shi Shang opened the box and took out the thing inside without saying a word. It was a string of light purple beads engraved with patterns that Feng Xi was very familiar with. It was exactly the same as the one on the watch she always wore for him. Shi Shang put the bracelet on his hand. Feng Xi looked at her in confusion. The next second, someone grabbed his hand. Feng Xi's eyes widened slightly. He subconsciously struggled, but she held on very tightly. In the end, she simply pressed him under her body. She bent down beside his ear and said softly, "Don't move. Be good. Don't move. Be good." Feng Xi thought of what he did in that plane and suddenly didn't dare to move. He was afraid that she wouldn't want him anymore. His vision suddenly turned black, and his consciousness gradually drifted away. He seemed to be able to hear her voice, but it wasn't clear. Shi Shang made sure that Feng Xi was unconscious before letting him go. She reached out and grabbed one end of the chain. The moment she touched it, she felt a strong force surge into her body. Shi Shang quickly controlled the force and guided it into the bracelet. However, the force was too strong, and the bracelet couldn't contain it all. The force that couldn't enter the bracelet all flowed into her body through her hand. That feeling was like being pierced by countless sharp blades in an instant. It also felt like being burned by a raging fire. Crack! Crack! Cracks appeared on the chain and bracelet at the same time. Shi Shang quickly took out an iron sword and cut off the chains on Feng Xi's hands and feet. The moment the chains completely broke, Shi Shang's body suddenly fell backward. The bracelet on his wrist fell apart and rolled around. Shi Shang stared at the bracelet. After a few seconds, he propped himself up and stood up. She picked up the bracelets one by one and put them back into the box. Then, she carried Feng Xi out of this place. Caesar was waiting at the door. When he saw her come out, he looked like he had seen a ghost. "Shi Shang, are you okay?" Shi Shang pursed his lips and didn't say anything. He walked around him with a cold expression and walked out. "Shi Shang, are you taking him away?" Caesar hurriedly followed him. At this moment, he actually felt the force in his body. "You still haven't heard me." Shi Shang didn't even stop walking. Caesar kept talking behind him, but he didn't get any response. He didn't know whether to stop her or not. If he stopped her, she would definitely get angry and do something crazy. He didn't dare to imagine. But if he didn't stop her, what should he do next? So annoying. Should he stop her or not? While Caesar was in a dilemma, Shi Shang had already disappeared from his sight. In the hotel, the sunlight shone in through the window and fell on the face of the young man on the bed. His fair skin was crystal clear and covered with a layer of faint light. He looked incomparably sacred. His long eyelashes brushed a small fan-shaped shadow. His lips were like cherry blossoms in April, suffused with a seductive light pink color. The young man's eyelashes trembled. He slowly opened his eyes. There was a moment of confusion in his eyes. He looked like a fairy who had fallen into the mortal world and didn't know what to do. However, in the next second, endless coldness gushed out from the depths of his eyes. An invisible force spread out from his body. The things in the room were rustling. There seemed to be some movement outside the door, but no one pushed it open. After a while, Feng Xi propped himself up. He had changed into a very soft t-shirt and was only wearing a pair of underwear. The quilt on his body was like silk. Where was she? Feng Xi got off the bed and looked around the room. He couldn't find anyone. A strong murderous aura gushed out from his body. Everything in the room was destroyed. He walked towards the door. The t-shirt covered his thighs and blocked the places that shouldn't be seen. However, his perfectly curved legs were completely exposed. His hand was just about to touch the door handle. Before he could turn it, the door handle was pushed down by itself. A familiar face appeared in his line of sight. Shi Shang came in and closed the door. His gaze fell on his exposed legs. He said in an unfriendly tone, "Where do you think you're going?" "To find you." The young man's voice was gentle. It was no longer hoarse. It was like a gentle spring breeze that swept away all the filth in the world. It was clear and lively. Shi Shang was silent for a moment. "Why aren't you wearing pants? I left a change of clothes beside the bed for you." "It's broken." Feng Ci pinched the corner of his t-shirt. "Huh? How could a new one be broken?" Shi Shang looked behind him. The corner of his mouth twitched. It looked like someone had kicked his ass. Asterisk, this is a fake group. "Little Fairy, since the two of you have met, shouldn't you vote for him?" "Cherub, beg us." "Little Fairy, please." "Cherub, where's your integrity?" "Little Fairy, for the dog." "System, Shi Shang, but face, why did you jump out?" "System, it's gone." "System notification. The system has been disconnected." Chapter 1391. The news of Zhua Hao colluding with pirates was quickly posted on the Star Web. This Star Web was connected to the galactic mainframe and was used by all 6 galaxies. Hence, everyone in the 6 galaxies knew that Zhua Hao was colluding with pirates. Of course, some galaxies didn't know who Zhua Hao was, but the words, colluding with pirates, were enough for them to recognize him. The galactic pirates were hated by all galaxies. The public galactic law stated that colluding with galactic pirates was a death sentence. It was useless for anyone to say anything. Before Zhua Hao could understand what was going on, people from the law enforcement court had already come to arrest him. There was sufficient evidence. Even if he hired a maglev train lawyer, it wouldn't change anything. Just as everyone was condemning Zhua Hao, a few officials belonging to the royal family died silently. Shangguan Pu, the third prince, was the first to receive this news. Zhua Hao had just gotten into trouble, and the royal family had also gotten into trouble. If Shangguan Pu couldn't think of anything, he would have climbed to this position for nothing. He hurried to the palace to meet him. After listening to Shangguan Pu's report, His Majesty the Lucky Mascot was very annoyed. He roared at Shangguan Pu, "Are they sick?" "Shangguan Pu, how was this sick? This was simply crazy." His Majesty the Lucky Mascot calmed down. "Who died?" "They were all Big Brother's men." "Bastard!" His Majesty the Lucky Mascot scolded. "He doesn't do his job all day long, and now he's doing his job. What is he trying to do?" Who knew what he was trying to do? His Majesty the Lucky Mascot sighed. "Let's leave this matter at that. We won't interfere." "What about Big Brother?" Shangguan Pu hesitated. Were they giving up on Big Brother? His Majesty the Lucky Mascot's gaze turned fierce. "I can't risk the entire Imperial planet for him. Third Brother, I have high hopes for you. You can't be soft-hearted at this time. If you want to sit in this position, you won't last long." He had a total of 4 children. Fourth brother was ruthless and smart, but he died early. Third brother was smart, but his personality was a little soft and indecisive. Second brother was addicted to mecha manufacturing and couldn't be seen 365 days a year. Big brother was ruthless, but his actions were too absurd and arrogant. This kind of person couldn't sit in this position. His only successor was his third brother. Lucky Mascot Majesty continued, "Look at Shi Shang. She used to have nothing. How did she get to where she is today? Does Imperial Father mean for me to be as cold-blooded and heartless as her? I'm not asking you to be cold-blooded and heartless. I'm asking you to learn from her ruthlessness. Be decisive and don't be indecisive." Lucky Mascot King sighed. Shi Shang may be arrogant, but she has the capital. The entire Shi family is under her control. If she says 1, it's 1. If she says 2, it's 2. No one can refute her. However, our empire is different. The various powers are complex, so you must not learn from them. Although she makes people gnash their teeth in hatred, she still has a lot of redeeming qualities. Go back and slowly think about it. Lucky Mascot, His Majesty waved his hand. There were some things that he could not say too clearly. He had to let him figure it out on his own. Shangguan Pu was dumbfounded. Seeing that His Majesty the Lucky Mascot didn't want to say anything more, he bowed slightly. Yes. The royal family chose not to see it, so the dead officials were naturally dealt with secretly. They were not in the right in the first place. Those people attacked her first, so it was normal for her to retaliate. If they could avoid trouble, it would be better. They did not want to go against the Shi family's Zhanlong guards and experience another bloodbath in the capital star. Feng Ci stayed in the hotel for a few days. The wounds on his hands and feet were almost healed, but Shi Shang insisted on applying medicine on them every day until there were no traces left. Shi Shang accompanied him every day. When he closed his eyes, the last person he saw was her. When he opened his eyes, she was also the first person he saw. Feng Ci stared at the person beside him and carefully reached out to trace the side of her face. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, and his whole face suddenly became evil. Shi Shang frowned. Feng Ci immediately stopped smiling and waited for her to open her eyes with an innocent expression. Feng Ci. Shi Shang brushed his hand away from her face. It's so early in the morning. Can't you behave? She opened her eyes and met the young man's gaze. It was clear and gentle, like the vast starry sky that contained everything in the world. But when you really entered it, you would find that it was full of danger. Shi Shang knew that his nature was not like this, but she liked him like this. He was like a little sun that shone brightly, bringing warmth and sunshine to her. She knew that she was selfish, but she had no choice. She only wanted him like this. Feng Ci pecked her face. I'm right in front of you. What are you thinking? Shi Shang pulled him into her arms. Do you think it's hard? Feng Ci leaned his face against her chest and listened to her heartbeat. Feng Ci moved to the side uncomfortably. As long as I'm with you, I'm willing to do anything. Even if you have to hide your true nature. Feng Ci's fingertips trembled and his eyelashes drooped. Yes, I'm willing. He was the one who admitted defeat first, so he had to compromise. Love did not require two people to be strong. If he did not show weakness, they would never be together. Shi Shang sighed. It feels good to be able to hug you every day. It feels good to be able to be with you. Feng Ci's hand moved up Shi Shang's waist. Before he could take advantage of her, Shi Shang let go of him. Feng Ci watched in disappointment as she got off the bed and lay on the bed, unwilling to move. Shi Shang stood beside the bed for a few seconds before changing his clothes. Don't look like you're not satisfied. Shi Shang had already changed his clothes. He crossed his arms and looked at Feng Ci. Get up. Feng Ci's face suddenly turned red. Who was not satisfied? He was not. He turned to the side and pulled the blanket over his head. Shi Shang. The female lead was hopeless. By the time Shi Shang brought breakfast in, Feng Ci was still lying in bed, pretending to be dead. Shi Shang called out to him a few times, but he didn't come out from under the blankets. Shi Shang could only go up and pull the blankets away, revealing his head. His face was red from holding it in under the blankets. He looked at Shi Shang with the expression of a proud little princess who needed coaxing. You're breaking the rules. Shi Shang sighed. How could he look like this? Feng Ci wrapped his arms around her neck and raised his chin slightly, waiting for her to kiss him. You haven't brushed your teeth. Shi Shang refused. She did not want him to get off the bed as they kissed. Feng Ci's face darkened. Are you disgusted with me? Of course not. Then kiss me. Feng Ci moved closer to Shi Shang. Shi Shang, Feng Xiai looked like he was throwing a tantrum. I don't care. I won't get up until you kiss me. Shi Shang was helpless. I really owe you. Feng Xi's lips curled up. You owe me, right? Since he had compromised, it would be a huge loss if he did not get back some interest. Asterisk the second last day of the month. Those who still have monthly votes, vote now. Double the votes. Feng Xiai was not from this world. From the holographic image, it could be seen that the energy in his body was very similar to spiritual energy, but it was also filled with evil energy. It was very strange. She had no idea where he came from or why he was here. But what did it matter? He was by her side now. Shi Shang took Feng Xiai downstairs. Shi Feng wanted to follow, but Shi Shang was afraid that Feng Xiai would cause trouble and told him not to. Feng Xiai glanced at the various objects. It was just a glance, which meant that he was not interested. When he paused, Shi Shang would explain to him what the objects were. Shi Shang. Ji Yi came in with Ji Xian. They bumped into each other, so Ji Yi had to greet him. He glanced at Feng Xiai and had a strange look on his face. At the summit, she said that she wanted this person. Not long after, she brought him back, but no one had seen him before. The others were very nervous. If this person was really the person who destroyed countless planets like Ji Na said, then wouldn't his appearance mean danger? However, the people from the Space Administration came out and told him not to worry too much. As long as Shi Shang was here, he wouldn't do anything. The past few days seemed peaceful, but in fact, everyone was watching. Today was the first time she brought someone out. Unexpectedly, it was such a cute young man. Shi Shang, is he why you came to the capital star? Ji Yi found his voice after a long while. It's none of your business. Shi Shang walked past them with Feng Xiai. Feng Xiai kept his head down. When Shi Shang walked past Ji Yi, he suddenly looked up and looked at Ji Yi. At that moment, Ji Yi felt that the air around him seemed to freeze. Murderous intent filled the entire space. Feng Xiai. The young man looked away and obediently followed Shi Shang out of Ji Ye's sight. Ji Yi didn't hear Ji Xian's cry until they were out of sight. He subconsciously pinched Ji Xian's hand until it turned red. Ji Yi quickly let go of Ji Xian. I'm sorry, Xiao Xian. Ji Xian's face turned pale as if she was frightened. She whispered, Brother Yi, those two people were so scary. It's okay. Ji Yi touched Ji Xian's head and comforted her gently. We won't see them again. After Ji Yi comforted Ji Xian, Yan Lin knocked on the door and asked him to go next door. Ji Yi thought he was alone. He didn't expect Jin Shi to be there too. Patriarch Yan gestured for Ji Yi to sit. Patriarch Ji, did you see that young man? Ji Yi looked up at Patriarch Yan. His eyes changed and he nodded slightly. I did. How did it feel? It's hard to describe. Ji Yi didn't know how to describe it. He just knew that it was dangerous. Jin Shi slammed the table and shouted, He's evil, just like Shi Shang. This person destroyed so many planets. According to the interstellar law, he should be dead hundreds of times. Ji Yi didn't answer. Instead, he looked at Patriarch Yan. Patriarch Yan, do you have something to discuss with me? Patriarch Yan chuckled. Nothing. I just wanted to ask how you feel. The imperial family is pretending to be dead. They don't want to offend her. But she has a suspected dangerous person with her. We have to make plans. We can't beat her. What plans do we have? Jin Shi said straightforwardly, Don't tell me you want us to bow down to her and rely on the Shi family from now on? Patriarch Yan sighed. Didn't I call you here to discuss it? No matter what, the 6 families should unite against the outside world. Unite my ass. Jin Shi continued to slam the table and shouted with a red face. Look at Mu Yi. What the hell is he? It's good enough that he didn't betray us. And the Zhong family, they only care about themselves. If this goes on, they'll be finished sooner or later. Ji said lightly, we can't count on the Mu family. They've long been estranged from us. As for the Zhong family, they're weak. There's nothing wrong with protecting themselves. Patriarch Yen nodded. The situation is a bit unclear now. We can't make any decisions easily. I called you here today to discuss it. If something really happens, we'll be mentally prepared. Jin Shi and Ji Yi looked at each other. Ji Yi spoke first. Grandpa Yen, did you get any warning? The Yen family was good at divination and deduction. Chaos is coming. There will always be a time. Chapter 1393. What do you mean? Jin Shi stared at the head of the Yen family. The head of the Yen family shook his head. I don't understand either, but I'm sure it has something to do with the Shi family and Shi Sheng. Ji hit the nail on the head. What do you mean by chaotic times? Is she going to start a war? The head of the Yen family continued to shake his head. There were many descriptions of chaotic times. No one knew what would happen until then. The three of them fell silent. This was going to be fun. In the interstellar era, the majority of people had already abandoned the habit of eating ordinary food. They had switched to eating nutritious food that contained high energy and was beneficial to their bodies, or the meat of beasts that were the specialty of certain planets. The meat of these beasts wasn't very good, but it contained high amounts of energy. It was beneficial to their mental energy and body. Therefore, there were not many restaurants on the streets. Even if there were, they were very high-end and intimidating. Feng Ci did not eat nutrient solutions, let alone animal meat. Shi Shang was not familiar with the imperial capital planet, so it took him a long time to find a restaurant. She looked at the signboard and made sure she had found the right one. Then, she pushed the door open and entered. The wind chimes hanging on the door jingled. Welcome, a gentle female voice said. Feng Ci looked around but did not see anyone. Shi Shang pointed at a semicircular object above the door. It was an automatic welcome system. Someone walked out of the room. Welcome, what do you want to eat? It was a woman who came out. After speaking, she looked up and her eyes widened. She called out in disbelief, Xiao Sheng? Auntie Yu. Shi Sheng smiled. The woman was old and had wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, but it was not hard to tell that she was a beauty when she was young. The woman walked up to Shi Shang and was so excited that she did not know where to put her hands. Xiao Sheng, it's really you. I thought I would never see you again. It's great that I can see you again. Don't just stand there, come in and sit. This is... Yu Chong's gaze fell on Feng Ci. Shi Shang pushed Feng Ci forward. Feng Ci, my partner. Feng Ci was about to release a murderous aura, but after hearing Shi Shang's words, it did not overflow. Partner? Yu Chong was stunned. Then, she smiled. That's good. You should have someone with you. Quick, child, sit inside. Yu Chong led them to a private room. When she went out to get some water, Shi Shang leaned over to Feng Ci. She's my only elder, do you understand? Feng Ci nodded obediently. Got it. Yu Chong came in with a glass of water. I heard that you were coming back, but you didn't come, so I couldn't see you. I didn't expect you to come today. I didn't prepare anything, and I don't know what this child likes to eat. How about I make something that I'm good at? Aunt Yu, there's no rush. I'm hungry. Shi Shang, Yu Chong smiled, her face full of kindness. Then Auntie Yu will cook for you first. We'll talk as we eat. Take a seat first. After Yu Chong left, Shi Shang pinched Feng Ci. Feng Ci looked at her pitifully. I'm really hungry. Seeing her pitiful look, Shi Shang's heart immediately softened, but he still kept a straight face. Show some respect. Kiss me. Don't mess around. Feng Ci looked at Shi Shang without blinking. Shi Shang sighed and kissed him on the cheek. All right, Don't go overboard. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson when we get back. Feng Xi's lips curved into a smile as he drank water from his cup. Yu Chong quickly came out with a few side dishes. Feng Xi was very picky, but looking at Shi Shang's gaze, he ate silently. If he didn't eat, he wouldn't pick up anything. Xiao Shang, try it. I don't know if you're still used to it after so many years. Yu Chong scooped a bowl of rice for Shi Shang. I'm not picky. Feng Xi's hand paused, and he continued eating. So what if I'm picky? You still have to dote on me. Humph. Yu Chong chuckled. Yes. You're not picky. You don't look like... Shi Shang's hand that was holding chopsticks paused. Yu Chong stopped in time and changed the topic. Xiao Shang, how have you been all these years? Pretty good. It's good that you're doing well. Auntie Yu is old. It's a blessing to see you start a family while I'm still alive. Yu Chong looked at Feng Xi. Feng Xi put away the darkness on him. At this moment, he looked like a shiny cherub. No matter how one looked at him, he was likable. I'll hold a wedding with him when I get back. Auntie Yu, come and witness our marriage then. Feng Xi turned to look at Shi Shang. Hold a wedding with him? But she hadn't mentioned it before. Feng Xi was a little unhappy. She wasn't the first to tell him. He instantly felt a little annoyed at Yu Chong. Shi Shang grabbed his hand from under the table and squeezed it hard. The latter immediately grabbed his hand and wrote a few words in her palm. Shi Shang. He wanted to drag him out and beat him up. Okay, as long as Xiao Sheng doesn't mind, Auntie you will definitely go. Yu Chong smiled happily. Hurry up and eat. Don't just talk. The dishes are cold. Child, are the dishes to your liking? The last sentence was directed at Feng Xi. Feng Xi did not move. When Shi Shang gestured for him to agree, he looked up and squeezed out a smile. It's very delicious. Yu Chong heaved a sigh of relief. Eat more if it's delicious. I'm afraid you won't be used to it. Yu Chong asked Shi Shang about some trivial matters in life and did not ask about her in the Shi family. The two of them chatted casually. After Feng Xi finished eating, he sat down quietly, but his hand did not let go of Shi Shang. It's getting late. Auntie Yu, we'll go back first. I'll send someone to pick you up when the wedding is held. Okay, Auntie Yu, wait for me. Yu Chong stood up. Xiao Shang, can I talk to you alone? Shi Shang looked at Feng Xi, who looked at her innocently. I'll be back soon. Feng Xi hesitated for a moment before letting go. Shi Shang kissed him on the forehead and followed Yu Chong to another room. Xiao Shang, is that child trustworthy? Yu Chong's worries, which she had not revealed earlier, were all revealed now. With her current status, she could not afford to make any mistakes. Auntie Yu, he won't betray me. Auntie Yu knows that you know what you're doing, but I still have to remind you. You must investigate his background and identity. You're standing too high. There are countless people who want your life. Auntie Yu doesn't have much to think about now. I just want you to be well. Thank you, Auntie Yu. I'll be careful. Shi Shang's gaze softened, and his smile was genuine. Yu Chong reached out and hugged Shi Shang. Wait for a while. Auntie Yu has something for you. Shi Shang nodded. Yu Chong walked out of the room and saw Feng Xi standing outside. She was stunned for a moment before walking over hesitantly. Child, Xiao Sheng's temper isn't very good. You should go along with her more. Don't go against her. She'll listen to you no matter what. Don't betray her either. Feng Xi raised his chin slightly, as if he wanted to look at Yu Chong in a superior manner. However, when he thought about how she was the only elder Shi Shang had mentioned, he could only restrain himself. I will. Hashtag today's 1,000-layer flavor ticket hashtag there's a May Day campaign for book review hashtag monthly votes. Hashtag double. Hashtag. Chapter 1394. Yu Chong quickly came back with something. It was a square Rubik's Cube, but it was bigger than a normal Rubik's Cube. This is... Yu Chong paused. Little Chu prepared this a long time ago, but she didn't have time to give it to you. Today, Auntie Yu decided to give it to you as a wedding gift. Shi Shang looked at the Rubik's Cube for a long time before taking it. Thank you, Auntie Yu. Little Chu will be happy if she knows you're married. Yu Chong looked sad. Shi Shang held the Rubik's Cube tightly. Auntie Yu, I'll leave first. Yu Chong quickly sniffed. Oh, okay. Auntie Yu will walk you out. Shi Shang and Yu Chong came out of the room. She naturally held Feng Xi's hand. Auntie Yu, you don't have to walk us out. We'll go out ourselves. Yu Chong just smiled and nodded. She walked them to the door, but she didn't go out. Perhaps she was afraid that she would be sad if she saw her leave. Shi Shang and Feng Xi walked side by side out of the old alley. Feng Xi glanced at the Rubik's Cube in her hand several times. Why didn't you take her away from here? Everyone has their own way of living. I can't force my will on others. Living here is her original wish. Shi Shang looked down at the Rubik's Cube for a moment before putting it away. Let's go. It's time to go back. Shi Shang hadn't even returned to the hotel when Shi Fong frantically called her. Clan head, something's happened at Frost Moon Street. Someone brought explosive items into Frost Moon Street, causing it to be engulfed in flames. From Shi Fong's image, he could see the thick fire behind him. Shi Shang stared behind him for a long time without saying anything. Shi Fong didn't dare to make a sound either. He held his breath and waited for Shi Shang's orders. Shi Fong waited for a long time until Shi Shang hung up. He turned to look at the fire in the distance. It was a blatant provocation. After Shi Shang hung up, he changed the route to Frost Moon Street. She suddenly reached out her hand. Let me hug you. Feng Xi immediately leaned over and hugged her. Her breathing was slow, as if it was no different from usual. But Feng Xi felt a chill. She must be very angry now. Why? Frost Moon Street? What was there? Some random thoughts appeared in Feng Xi's mind. She didn't say anything until the hover car came to a stop. Then, she let go of him. Her expression was normal, and there was nothing wrong with her at all. When she opened the car door, Feng Xi grabbed her and kissed her on the back of her head. Shi Shang was stunned for a moment. When Feng Xi pried open her mouth, she regained her senses and seized control of the situation. When Feng Xi's face turned red, she let go of him. I'm fine. Stay in the car. I'll be back soon. Feng Xi obviously didn't intend to listen. When she got out of the car, he immediately followed. Shi Shang stood opposite him and looked at him. Feng Xi immediately put on an innocent expression. He knew that she hated seeing him like this. Shi Shang shook his head and waved at him. Feng Xi eagerly ran over and reached out to hold her hand. His fingertips slipped through the gaps between her fingers and their fingers intertwined. The fire was still burning in the distance, and the army and medical teams were everywhere trying to evacuate the crowd. Shi Shang found Shi Fong's location. He led a small group of Zhanlong guards and looked at the people who were escaping. However, he did not help. He was as cold as a robot. Patriarch. Who did it? Shi Fong kept a distance from Feng Xi. I'm not sure. They're all dead. Not even their ashes are left. The center of the explosion was at the Xia household. Shi Shang narrowed his eyes and sneered. Pirates, explosion. Patriarch Shi. Shangguan Pu led the imperial family over from the side. Shi Shang looked at him coldly. Third prince, who dared to self-destruct right under your nose. Don't blow up the capital star. Shangguan Pu broke out in cold sweat. She meant that it was the imperial family who did it, but the latter part was a blatant threat. He quickly clarified. Patriarch Shi, I can guarantee you with my status as the crown prince that it has nothing to do with the imperial family. Shi Shang sneered. That better be the case. Third prince broke out in cold sweat. Patriarch Shi, We will definitely investigate this matter. Let's go back. Shi Feng was a little surprised. Just like that. But Shi Sheng didn't seem to be easy to talk to, so he didn't dare to say anything. He led the Zhanlong guards and followed Shi Sheng out of this chaotic place. Shangguan Pu watched them leave. He wiped off his cold sweat and ordered the people behind him, "Control the situation. Don't let anyone stir up trouble." Everyone. The 12 summit hadn't even ended yet, and such a thing had already happened. Luckily, the location of the explosion was at a sensitive place like Frost Moon Street. Wasn't someone deliberately looking for trouble? Shi Sheng returned to the hotel. Patriarch Yan, Jin Shi, and Ji Yi were waiting at the hotel entrance. They had obviously received the news. Patriarch Yan stood up as a representative to stop her. "Patriarch Shi, we will also help investigate the explosion at Frost Moon Street." "What are you trying to do?" Shi Sheng looked at them. How could this group of people be so kind? Patriarch Yan's mouth twitched. "Patriarch Shi, we are one. We are bound together for good or ill. Patriarch Shi, you should understand this, right? Don't. You guys are very skilled at backstabbing." Patriarch Yan looked embarrassed. "Our families didn't participate in the incident back then." "Yes, you didn't help either." Shi Shang's expression turned even colder. "Now you're telling me that we are bound together for good or ill. Don't you think it's funny? Patriarch Shi, our families also suffered heavy losses back then. We can't even take care of ourselves. How could we have the time to save the Xia family and Xia Chu?" Jean, she couldn't take it anymore. Shi Shang's sharp gaze swept over him. The aura Jean she had just gathered suddenly deflated like a deflated balloon under her gaze. "Then let's go our separate ways." Shi Sheng pulled Feng Xi inside. Shi Feng and the others followed behind her dutifully, quickly blocking Patriarch Yan's line of sight. "Patriarch Shi." Ji Yi stopped Patriarch Yan. "Patriarch Yan, don't say any more." Patriarch Yan sighed. The incident at Frost Moon Street is obviously provoking her. It's really going to be chaotic. Jean Shi's expression was a little ugly. If it weren't for her, Frost Moon Street would have been torn down long ago. Today's incident wouldn't have happened. Who knows how many people would have died. Her purpose of keeping Frost Moon Street is not to commemorate the Xia family and Xia Chu. Ji Ye's voice seemed to be tinged with the vicissitudes of life. She's reminding those people and us that there used to be a Xia family, one of the 7 major families, not the 6. How did Xia Chu and her meet? Jean she scratched his head and said in annoyance, "Back then, she massacred the capital star for Xia Chu." "I don't know. When I met Xia Chu, she was already Xia Chu's regular. You and Xia Chu met at the Xia family's banquet to announce the successor, right?" Patriarch Yan frowned. Xia Chu was still very young back then. How did she know Xia Chu so early? Yes, I didn't expect it either. In public, she never interacted with Xia Chu at all. I only found out about it later. No one knew how Xia Chu and Shi Sheng met. If it weren't for the massacre on the capital star, no one would have known that Xia Chu and Shi Sheng were so close. Second male lead? Are you kidding me? I won't write a second male lead, so don't even think about it. Chapter 1395. Feng Xi looked at the person sitting in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, twisting the Rubik's Cube slowly. He paced back and forth in frustration. "Feng Xi, be quiet." Shi Sheng's voice suddenly rang out. Feng Xi calmed himself down and sat down beside him. "Who is he? Who is this Xia Chu they're talking about?" Shi Sheng twisted the Rubik's Cube slowly. "Do you remember the story I told you in the world where you were Yen LV? Feng Xi thought for a moment. "I remember. Her name is Xia Chu." Shi Sheng added, "She's a girl." Feng Xi heaved a sigh of relief. Shi Sheng put down the Rubik's Cube and lay on Feng Xi's lap. He looked sideways at the colorful world outside the floor-to-ceiling window. I met her on the battlefield. She secretly ran out with her brother, but was locked in the warship's storage room. At that time well, you could say that I was running for my life. At that time, Xia Chu was still a little princess. She had a brother who doted on her, so she didn't need to do anything. It wasn't the first time she sneaked out, but she didn't expect to be locked up. The storage room was dark and there was no light. The little girl was so scared that she cried, waking up Shi Shang, who was in a coma. Shi Shang was already exhausted from running for his life. When he was suddenly woken up by the crying, he subconsciously wanted to kill the other party. However, when the other party saw him, her first reaction was to stop crying. Because there was someone with her, she wasn't afraid anymore. Shi Shang wasn't in a good state at that time. He wanted to kill her, but he didn't have the strength. She wanted to live, so she gave up on killing Xia Chu. She ordered her to open the storage room door and let her find medicine for her. At that time, she mostly used Xia Chu. There was no reason, because she wanted to live. Xia Chu really did find medicine. It wasn't very effective, but it could reduce her pain. The little girl was afraid that she would die, so she didn't even look for her brother. She watched over her all day. When someone entered the storage room, she carefully hid her. When no one was around, she would get her out and lie down. Later they were still discovered. Xia Chu was protected by her brother, so she was fine. However, she was different. Her identity was unknown. She appeared on a warship on a mission and was caught as a spy. She had already thought of a way to escape, but she did not expect Xia Chu to beg her brother to get her out. Because of this incident, his brother was condemned by many people, but because of his high military rank, no one dared to mention it. Xia Chu was a person who could not stay idle. When her injury was almost healed, she kidnapped her and drove her out in a fighter jet. At that time, Shi Shang had not been on the battlefield, so he did not know the cruelty of the battlefield. The little girl begged him pitifully and promised that she would not leave the safety line. Perhaps she was not fully recovered, so she agreed. If she could choose again, she would definitely not agree to Xia Chu's request at that time. Fighter jets were not mecha. Their defensive capabilities and combat capabilities were not that strong. Most of the time, fighter jets would follow behind the mecha and wait for the mecha troops to finish fighting before they would enter the battlefield. They were discovered by the enemy and trapped. Xia Chu's brother received the news and came alone to save them. In that battle, Xia Chu lost her brother. From then on, that innocent little girl died in that war. Xia Chu knew clearly why her brother died. It was because of her stubbornness and her naivety. Without her brother, Xia Chu's life in the Xia family was not easy, but she could not back down. She wanted to become someone like her brother. Perhaps it was because Xia Chu saved Shi Shang without warning, so Shi Shang helped her wherever he could. Xia Chu had saved her many times, and she had saved Xia Chu many times. To me, she was a family member and a friend. Shi Shang hugged Feng Xi's waist and buried his face in his lower abdomen. Auntie Yu was Xia Chu's aunt. After Xia Chu's brother died, she was the only one who supported and encouraged Xia Chu. How did she die? Shi Shang lifted her head to look at Feng Xi, his face clearly reflected in her eyes. Shi Shang retracted his gaze and said calmly, "Our families all have ancient inheritances. Our bloodline can be traced back to the ancient Huaxia before the end of the Yuan dynasty. Some people coveted this power and tried to control it. The Xia family was good at manufacturing. The chains that bound Feng Xi were made by Xia Chu. Although everyone knew the trump cards of each family, the principles behind them were not very clear. In short, the weapons and objects made by the Xia family all had special powers. If this power was used in the military, it was easy to imagine how powerful it would be. Xia Chu died because she trusted someone she shouldn't have. The Xia family died because all the forces wanted a piece of the pie. But in the end, Xia Chu went to hell with all the secrets of the Xia family. No one benefited. When I arrived, everyone in the Xia family was dead. I couldn't even find her body. The royal family knew that I was close to Xia Chu, but they were her accomplices and transferred me away from the capital star. Feng Xi's index finger gently brushed her neck. You're not someone who's so easily swayed by others. Shi Shang sneered. You probably didn't expect that at that time. I still had dreams. I was a brainless and hot-blooded girl who was willing to protect the country and build a career. What about them? They gave me such a big gift, a gift that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. So she washed the capital star with blood and left. From then on, the life and death of the Nether Galaxy had nothing to do with her. When she was born, she was no different from other people. She had a pure and innocent heart. All her cold-bloodedness and heartlessness had been given to her by them. She had only made full use of what they had given her. Feng Xi leaned over and looked at her solemnly and firmly, as if he was making an oath. It's okay. You have me in the future. Even if the road ahead is bumpy, I'll hold your hand tightly. We'll live and die together, share honor and disgrace, and live together for the rest of our lives. Live and die together, share honor and disgrace, and live together for the rest of our lives. Shi Shang grinned. The haze in her eyes was covered by a smile. She said, Okay. Feng Xi gently hugged Shi Shang. I'll be here with you every day from now on. Shi Shang was slightly flustered. She didn't respond to Feng Xi and only hugged him tighter. After all these years, he was the only thing she didn't want to let go of. Shi Shang couldn't remember when Feng Xi had lowered his head and kissed her. She only remembered that his eyes were slightly misty as he asked in a hoarse voice, Can I? Shi Shang was amused. We're already at this point. What do you think? Feng Xi was trembling slightly. He was nervous and cautious. If they didn't count the times they used their virtual bodies, this was their first time doing it. It was normal for him to be nervous. However, Shi Shang was helpless to let him continue being nervous. Why don't I do it? She asked tentatively. After all, she was afraid that her wife would be angry. No. But Feng Xi suddenly glared at her. Why are you glaring at me? At this time. She had been holding it in for a long time. Chapter 1396. The royal family quickly gave Shi Shang a report on Frost Moon Street. According to the investigation, a man had brought the explosives in, but that man was an illegal resident and had no identification. He had been brought to the capital by a merchant ship. After getting off the ship, he went straight to Frost Moon Street, and then there was an explosion. It was the 12th summit now, and they had caught many people who wanted to cause trouble, but this was the first time that the entire Frost Moon Street was blown up. The impact was extremely bad. The merchant ship had been called by the royal family to investigate, and they would continue to send news to her. Shi Shang really didn't care about Frost Moon Street. The purpose of leaving Frost Moon Street was similar to what Ji Yi had said. It was to make those people angry, but there was nothing they could do. Therefore, even if Frost Moon Street was blown up, she didn't have any strange reaction. She asked people to pack up and prepare to return to the Blue Planet. Master, this matter is definitely not over. Are we leaving just like that? Shi Feng was a little confused. There was a 99% chance that Frost Moon Street was blown up for the Master. Shi Shang just smiled faintly. Whether it's a ghost or a demon, just wait for it to come out. Since she couldn't find out, why waste her time investigating? If she didn't do anything, someone would be anxious. Send a team of Zhonglong guards to Aunt Yu. Also, give this to Aunt Yu and let her carry it with her. Remind her that it might be dangerous to stay on the capital planet. If she wants, take her back to the Blue Planet with us. If she doesn't want to, don't force her. Shi Feng took the brocade bag from Shi Shang. Yes. Shi Feng selected a small team of Zhonglong guards and ordered them to protect Aunt Yu. Shi Feng watched the Zhonglong guards leave, and his heart sank. Something was going to happen soon. Shi Feng turned around and his eyes suddenly met the young man standing in the corridor. He stared at him coldly. The young man who was like a cherub in front of the master was now like a demon, exuding a dark and vicious aura. Shi Feng's body trembled. What did he want? The young man looked at him for a full minute. He put his hands in his pockets and walked over from the corridor. His voice was clear but full of malice. She asked you to get ready and leave in an hour. Shi Fang immediately thought that it was impossible. If the patriarch wanted to order him to do something, he would most likely ask Shen Xing or himself to call him. Just as Shi Fang was thinking about this, Shi Shang's message appeared on his personal terminal. The message was the same as what the young man in front of him had said, except that he added a message telling the young man to scram. He didn't misinterpret it. That was how he typed those words. Tell Feng Ci to get back here. Shi Fang didn't dare to speak to Feng Ci like that, so he could only send the message to the void and let the young man read it himself. The young man glanced at him indifferently and turned around as if nothing had happened. The sound of his footsteps was especially clear in the corridor. Shi Fang watched the young man's figure disappear through the door and the oppressive aura in the corridor dissipated. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief and send a message to Shen Xing. Is that Feng Ci really all right? No, Master likes it very much. Seeing the words Master likes it very much, Shi Fang fell silent. He quickly typed out a row of words and deleted them. He repeated it several times before he was done typing. I feel that the way he acts in front of the patriarch is not his true self. Yes, Master likes him like that. Otherwise, Master would chop him to death. Shi Fang. What the hell was going on? So what was his true self? You can refer to Master. He will be whatever Master is like. He might even be scarier than Master. Anyway, I don't think he's a good person. He's a good match for Master. The most important thing is that he's willing to give up all his arrogance for Master and become what Master likes. I have high hopes for him. After chatting with Shen Xing, Shi Fang was in a bad mood. What the hell was this future wife of the patriarch? The 12 summit hadn't ended yet, but Shi Shang left with the Zhanlong guards. The ordinary people of the capital star were naturally happy. They could only breathe a sigh of relief after she left. Who knew if she would have a screw loose and cause another bloodbath? But the people who attended the 12 summit weren't calm. She didn't leave alone. She also brought along the N1 that could be called a human-shaped killing machine. Because she said at the summit that she wanted that person. Even if they objected, it was useless. But it was different now. If she really left with that human figure, who knew what would happen in the future? So when Shi Shang arrived at the port, the various forces brought people to block her. The people from the royal family weren't there. They probably didn't want to participate and were used to being cowards. Everyone, what's the meaning of this? Shi Fang got out of the car and looked at the big shots standing in a row in front of him with a serious expression. He didn't lose to them in terms of aura. A man stood up. This man had been scolded by Shi Shang at the summit. Now, he stood up as a representative. He looked at the floating car behind Shi Fang. Patriarch Shi, we don't have any objections to you leaving with the Zhanlong guards. But I'm afraid it's inappropriate for you to take N1 with you. Everyone waited for a while before Shi Shang opened the car door and asked arrogantly, "What's inappropriate about it? Did he eat your rice or use your money?" Everyone, Patriarch Shi, you know what he did. If you take him out of the capital star and something happens, how will you solve it? Shi Shang said matter-of-factly, "Oh, I'll help him. Even if he wants to blow up your nether galaxy, I'll help him." What else do you have to say? Your nether galaxy? You're not from the nether galaxy. The group was so angry that smoke came out of their heads. Patriarch Shi, you. Shi Shang was the first to explode. I must take him away today. If you're not convinced, you can come at me directly. Don't talk nonsense. If you don't dare to, then make way for I. These people only knew how to talk nonsense. How could they make such a small thing sound so evil? If you're so awesome, then come at me directly. What nonsense are you talking about? Everyone, they looked like they wanted to strangle her. But they could only think about it. They weren't strong enough to fight her directly. But they didn't want to let a human killing machine go just like that. It was a bit of a stalemate. Shi Shang rolled up his sleeves and said angrily, "Are you looking for a beating?" Everyone moved to the side in unison and made a path for her. She was about to make a move. If they didn't move, they would die. The kind of death that wouldn't cost them their lives. Idiot! A group of people came to stop her, but they didn't manage to do so. Instead, they were scolded. Now, they had to watch her leave. How did this scourge survive? Why didn't the heavens take her? Asterisk, this is a fake group. Red Crescent Galaxy. Nether Galaxy, I heard you were scolded again? Nether Galaxy. Get lost. Red Crescent Galaxy, smile. You're so angry. You must have been scolded quite badly, right? Nether Galaxy. Get lost. 4 great galaxies. Sit and watch. Red Crescent Galaxy. Get lost. Nether Galaxy. Get lost. 4 great galaxies, black face with a question mark, system. You don't even have a name. You don't deserve to appear on screen. 4 great galaxies. Little Fairy didn't give us a name. Are you blaming us? Little Fairy. Too lazy to do so. 4 great galaxies. Hee hee, too lazy to vote. Little Fairy. Then you'll never have a name. 4 great galaxies. System. I knew we'd end up here. Chapter 1397. Yu Chong didn't come. Shi Shang knew this would happen, so he asked everyone to leave the Imperial planet as soon as they arrived. Caesar arrived with Ji Na, only to see a bunch of idiots cursing and swearing at Shi Shang. He rubbed his blonde hair with a gloomy expression. After a while, he said to Ji Na, "Get ready. We're going to the Blue Planet." Ji Na frowned and asked, "Director, the Blue Planet is very strict about flying in and out. How are we going to sneak in?" The Blue Planet was Shi Shang's private territory. It was said that it was a desolate planet. After she left the Imperial planet with the Shi family, she took over the desolate planet and developed it to its current scale. Of course, some people said that the Blue Planet was hers a long time ago, but she moved there later. Caesar's tone was firm. "I have my ways." Ji Na hesitated. "Okay." The spaceship left the Imperial planet and entered the vast starry sky. Feng Ci stood in front of the observation cabin. The starry sky was like a painting in front of him. Countless stars flashed through his eyes. It was magnificent and mysterious. A pair of hands hugged him from behind. "Do I look good?" Feng Ci looked sideways. The stars in his eyes disappeared, leaving only her beautiful side profile. "In my heart, you're the most beautiful. You're the treasure of my life. Nothing in the world can compare to your smile." Shi Shang tightened his arms. "Feng Ci, will you marry me?" Feng Ci looked at the starry sky outside. "Haven't you already set a date? Isn't it a bit late to ask me now?" "Yes, I'm just asking you." Shi Shang snorted. "Whether you're willing or not, you'll have to marry me in the end." Feng Ci was silent. Before Feng Ci could answer, Shi Shang raised his voice. "You don't want to?" Feng Ci held Shi Shang's wrist and pressed her against the transparent observation window. He stared at her quietly. Shi Shang could see the vast starry sky behind his eyes. He smiled and said softly, "I'm willing to pick the stars for you." The starlight in his eyes suddenly flowed rapidly, sliding in a certain direction. Shi Shang looked back in surprise. Countless stars flashed by outside the window, dragging long tails in the dark universe. It was like a meteor shower, bright and dazzling. However, Shi Shang knew that it was not a meteor shower. Those were planets, every single one of them. It was the last flash of light in the universe before the planet crashed. Shi Shang turned around after a long while. He put his arm around his neck and chuckled. "Fortunately, this is a no-man's land. Otherwise, those idiots would probably send troops to kill me." With such a large scale of planet crashing and her coincidentally passing by, those people did not need to use their brains to know who did it. Although it was a no-man's land, it would still cause some trouble. But so what? Shi Shang closed the distance between the two of them and intertwined her lips with his. So what? As long as he's happy. After the kiss ended, Shi Shang leaned against his chest, panting slightly. How did you do it? Feng Ci tilted his head. His lips were slightly red, and his long and dense eyelashes cast a small shadow on his face. His eyes were slightly misty, and he looked cute no matter how you looked at him. Feng Ci reached out and placed his palm on the observation window in front of him. The starlight outside suddenly began to twist, as if it was moving according to his will, forming a new pattern. Shi Shang held his hand and shook his head slightly. He must have paid a huge price to be able to use this kind of power. Otherwise, he would not have been caught by the Space Administration because he was weak. Break the void and control the stars. Feng Ci retracted his hand. The starry sky outside distorted and returned to normal. His fingertips passed through Shi Shang's hand and interlocked their fingers. This is the highest level in my world. God. Feng Ci lowered his head, the tip of his nose touching hers. His tone was flirtatious. Do you think there's a god like me? Shi Shang touched his chin. There really isn't. She could feel the terrifying aura emanating from his body from time to time. It was evil and dark. This kind of aura was not something a god should have. Then do you still like me? Feng Ci's voice was cautious. He regretted it the moment the words left his mouth. He did not want to hear any other answer from her other than the word, like. Shi Shang leaned back slightly to increase the distance between them. His expression was serious. I don't care who you are or where you come from. I only know that you are Feng Ci, the person I've spent so much effort to keep by my side. Feng Ci's expression became serious, as if he was making an oath. You are Shi Shang, the person I'm willing to spend my life with. The two looked at each other and smiled. An invisible bond circulated around them. He could feel her joy, hear her heartbeat, and touch her soul. She was completely his. Then what are you? Guess. I don't want to guess. Tell me. I'll tell you tonight. Get lost. That night, Feng Ci did not have time to tell Shi Shang. He was tormented by Shi Shang so much that he did not want to say a word. He just wanted to be a quiet and beautiful young man. In the morning, Shi Feng saw Feng Ci's expression that said, I'm not happy. Don't come over or I'll kill you. He wisely turned back. This person was the family head's most cherished person. How could he dare to offend him? Shi Feng. Shi Feng's body stiffened. What he was afraid of really came true. He tried his best to look normal. He turned around and greeted politely, Young master, good morning. Shi Shang had made a clear request on how to address Feng Ci. He only needed to call him young master. Feng Ci propped up his chin and looked at him. His tone was calm, and one could not tell if he was happy or angry. Have you seen Xiao Sheng? Is the family head not here? Shi Feng was puzzled. He did not see the family head when he came over. Feng Ci did not say anything and just looked at Shi Feng. Shi Feng felt a chill run down his spine. He felt that this person wanted to kill him. Was it his imagination? He did not provoke him. Ahem, I'll help you contact the family head. No need. Feng Ci stood up and turned to enter the room. Shi Feng. What was the meaning of this? Shi Shang came over from the other end of the corridor. Seeing Shi Feng standing there like a statue, he walked in front of him. Shi Feng, what are you doing? Do you have nothing to do? Shi Feng tried his best to keep a straight face and not let himself cry. Family head, I don't think I can move. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. You've seen Feng Ci? Shi Feng nodded. Young master called me first. I didn't do anything. He was innocent. When Feng Ci went in, he could not move. Shi Shang did not understand why Feng Ci was so hostile to Shi Feng. He called Feng Ci out and asked him to let Shi Feng go. The latter had an innocent expression that said, I don't know. I didn't do anything. Asterisk hashtag the female lead is getting arrogant again and making trouble for no reason. Hashtag I've said something before. I'll say it again now. Hashtag don't talk about my Shang in this book or outside the comments section of this book. If you really like her, please like her here. If you talk about her under other authors, I really don't know if you're a high-level hater or a true fan. Is this how you love my Shang? I hope that those who have commented under other people's comments will take the initiative to delete them when they see this. You all represent my reputation, do you understand? My reputation. Don't just mention it. Sigh, that so-and-so's brainless fans are especially scary and uncultured. Elegant. Elegant. Chapter 1398. Shi Shang dragged Feng Ci into the room. Why are you targeting Shi Feng? Feng Ci tilted his head, his eyelashes fluttering. His voice was low. He's been with you for a long time, right? Shi Shang frowned. I guess so. Are you jealous? Feng Ci admitted it without hiding anything. Yes. That man was involved in her previous life. He didn't like him. I don't have any feelings for Shi Feng. I know. If he had any feelings for Shi Feng, he would have killed him long ago. Shi Shang continued, Shi Feng has been with me for a long time. I can't just kick him away like that. When we go back, I'll tell him not to appear in front of you. I'll try to see him as little as possible. If there's anything, let Shen Xing instruct you, okay? Feng Ci tilted his head and didn't speak. Shi Shang sighed. What do you want me to do? Feng Ci wanted to kill him, but he thought that his request was a bit too much. He fell silent and reached out to hug Shi Shang. It's okay. I'm just being petty. Shi Shang. Although Feng Ci said so, Shi Shang still reduced his meetings with Shi Feng. He only called Shi Feng for important matters, and Shi Feng was not allowed to appear within Feng Ci's range of activities. Shi Feng felt wronged. What did he do? Master actually banished him because of a gigolo. Ah, Master, you're done for if you continue to be so muddle-headed. Shen Xing sat next to Shi Feng, his baby fat face full of sympathy. You're considered lucky. If that person said he wanted to kill you, Master might do it to make him happy. Shi Feng glared. Shen Xing, I've been with Master for so many years. Even if I didn't make any contributions, I still worked hard, right? That's nothing. Shen Xing shook his head. Master only cares about two people, Master Xia and Feng Ci. She won't go easy on anyone. Shi Feng, you know this better than I do. Shi Feng face-bombed and sighed. Yes, my life belongs to her. Without Master, he would have died long ago. He wouldn't complain about Master because he knew how cold-blooded she was. Shen Xing patted Shi Feng on the shoulder. Don't worry. Although Master doesn't care about you, she still cares about your feelings. Although that person is unreasonable, he won't touch Master's bottom line. You're fine for now. Shi Feng glanced at Shen Xing faintly. I'm fine for the time being. Does that mean I'll be busy in the future? Shen Xing grunted. You just have to do as Master says, and you'll be fine. Shen Xing looked at Shi Feng, jumped down from the chair next to him, and turned to face him with a straight face. Shi Feng, will you betray Master because of this? Shi Feng was confused, then rubbed Shen Xing's head. What are you talking about? I swore that I would be loyal to her until the end of my life. I would never betray her. Shen Xing brushed his hand away and pouted unhappily. Don't touch my head. A hint of a smile appeared on Shi Feng's solemn face. Doesn't the patriarch touch it often too? Can you compare yourself to Master? Shen Xing snorted and trotted back to his chair. Shi Feng didn't respond to Shen Xing's words. He looked at the vast starry sky outside the cabin. Shen Xing, will that young Master be good to Master? Of course. That's good. Shen Xing looked at him and shook his little head. Shi Feng, let's go play a game. No, I can't win against you. Shi Fong refused seriously and got up to leave. I'll let you win. The corner of Shi Fong's mouth twitched, and he walked faster. Xinqing trotted after him. Come on, come on. I'm not playing. Come on, Shi Fong, brother Shi Fong, uncle Shi Fong. The little lowly hugged Shi Fong's thigh and directly became a leg accessory. When others passed by, they all looked amused. Shi Fong pulled Xinqing away. I still have something to do. Later. Although the patriarch didn't let him appear in front of Feng Ci, the patriarch didn't take away his rights and responsibilities. He still had to do his job. Xinqing knew more than him, so he didn't refuse when Xinqing wanted to make a leg accessory to work with him. The others were used to it. They pretended not to see the leg accessory and reported all their work to Shi Fong as usual. The first thing Shi Shang did when he returned to the Blue Planet was move out of the main house. There were many people living in the main house, but Shi Shang obviously didn't want Feng Ci to live in such an environment, so he directly moved to a villa not far from the main house. The Shi family didn't know what was going on, but they were all relieved when Shi Shang moved out of the main house. Living under the same roof as her, they were always on tenterhooks, afraid that if something didn't go well with her, they would be removed. But when they heard that Shi Shang was going to get married, their jaws dropped. Married? Her? WTF. Was her brain damaged after being in a coma for 3 months? She hadn't taken a fancy to any man for so many years. Why did she want to get married after coming back from the capital star? Who was so unlucky that she took a fancy to? After Shi Shang woke up, the Zhanlong guards immediately took back the news network on the Blue Planet. They didn't want these people to know about the news, so naturally, they couldn't send it back. So other than the Zhanlong guards, no one else knew about what happened on the capital star. The Shi family all had different thoughts, but they could only think about it in their hearts. When this news came out, they could only act according to Shi Fong's orders. The Shi family was an ancient family. The marriage of the patriarch wasn't just a wedding. Many people wanted to find out which family Shi Shang was marrying from, but they couldn't find out. The Zhanlong guards wouldn't tell them, and there was no one in the villa to serve them. They couldn't just climb into the villa to find out, could they? Since they couldn't find out who it was, they could only obediently prepare. When it was time for the wedding, they would see it. The wedding clothes were quickly sent to Shi Shang. There were 3 sets in total. The first set was to be worn from the beginning to the end of the ceremony. The second set was to be worn when entering the ancestral hall and writing Feng Ci's name on the family tree. The third set was to be worn at the last ceremony. Come and try it on. See if there's anything that doesn't fit. Shi Shang held the clothes and called Feng Ci. Feng Ci was only wearing a shirt. The shirt was a little long and covered his thighs. He walked out from the inner room, and his slender legs made people's blood boil. Why is it a traditional outfit? Feng Ci looked strangely at the clothes in Shi Shang's hands. In this era, people still wore traditional outfits to get married? The rules are like this. Shi Shang shrugged. The first set was a bright red wedding dress. Feng Ci put it on one by one. The red dress made his face look even fairer, like a finely crafted piece of jade. Do I look good? Feng Ci opened his arms and asked Shi Shang with a smile. You look better without it. Shi Shang didn't even look up as he replied. Feng Ci. What do you mean I look better without it? She didn't even look twice when I wasn't wearing it. Liar. May had begun. Happy May Day, little cuties. There are monthly votes for the new month. Hurry up and vote for me. It's all up to you to get on the list. Chapter 1399. The second set was white. It was made of light material and looked very elegant. There were many dark patterns embroidered on it, and the stamen was outlined with a red thread. Feng Ci pinched it and looked at it. It looked a bit like the emblem he had been wearing recently. This is the emblem of the Shi family. The flowers are called time flowers and they grow on both sides of the space-time tunnel. Shi Shang saw him staring at the patterns and explained softly. Feng Ci tilted his head and asked, "That watch, is it the same kind of flower?" "Yes." Feng Ci suddenly thought of something and laughed. Feng Ci seemed to be able to wear any clothes. The white clothes made him look like an immortal. His cute face became holy, as if he was an immortal who had descended to the mortal world. The third set of clothes was black. It was also embroidered with time flowers. The white petals and red stamens bloomed layer by layer on the hem of the clothes. After changing into the black clothes, Feng Ci's entire aura changed. Shi Shang could almost see the young man standing in the void, destroying a planet with a flick of his finger. His expression was cold, and his body was surrounded by an evil aura that was ready to destroy everything around him. Shi Shang suddenly reached out and hugged him. Feng Ci blinked and wrapped his arms around her waist. "What's wrong? I want to hug you. I'll let you hug me any time." Feng Ci chuckled. "My arms are only open for you." Shi Shang hugged him for a while before letting him go and letting him take off his clothes. Shi Shang folded the clothes and handed them to the Zhanlong guards waiting outside, indicating that there was no problem. Shi Shang was going to be very busy from now on. She had to personally prepare many of the items needed for the ceremony, so Feng Ci couldn't come along. Because of this, Feng Ci was very resentful and kept pestering Shi Shang at night. After everything was prepared, the wedding could begin. Everyone on the blue planet knew that the Shi family was going to get married, but the Shi family did not send out any invitations. However, there would be a live broadcast on the galactic web, so on the day of the wedding, the live broadcast room was almost bursting. After changing into the first set of wedding clothes in the villa, Shi Shang drove Feng Ci to the Shi family's main residence. The hover car hung with red silk stopped at the main gate of the Shi family's house. Outside, the Shi family members stood in 2 rows, and the few elders in front were similarly dressed in ancient clothing. Shi Shang got out of the car first. The red wedding dress she was wearing was relatively simple. Because she was the head of the family, she had to lead all the ceremonies. If the wedding dress was too complicated, it would affect the ceremony. The young girl was dressed in fiery red, and her wedding dress was embroidered with dragons and phoenixes, shining with phosphorescence under the sun. In the past, he had been intimidated by her aura and had not carefully looked at this big shot who had intimidated the entire galaxy. Now, she was quietly standing beside the car, and there was actually a peerless beauty that could topple cities. Perhaps she was used to having a bit of arrogance between her brows, but at this moment, she looked a bit valiant and formidable. She walked to the other side. A gentle breeze blew through her hair, lifting up her drooping black hair. Her face suddenly became hazy, and the gentleness between her brows was revealed in that instant. She opened the car door and reached inside. Everyone held their breaths. The camera of the live stream also quietly zoomed in on the car door and fixed on it. Access to the star web had been opened to all 6 galaxies. At this moment, everyone in the entire galaxy was watching. The person who knew that Shi Shang was getting married today was Feng Ci. After all, only those who had attended the summit would know. In order to not cause panic, those people would not spread the news. Thus, the star web was filled with people asking who it was. It's ancient clothing. You can only see authentic ancient clothing in the 6 great families. The ones outside look much worse. The 6 great families seem to use ancient clothing for their weddings. As expected of an ancient family. Who is the person the head of the family is marrying? She's so awesome. Take her down. If you ask me, the man is the unlucky one. Her enemies have already circled the galaxy several times. Won't he be hunted down every day after marrying into her family? Even if he's not hunted down, he'll be scolded to death. Oh, I just want to know who that man is. He actually caught her eye. He's coming out, he's coming out. Under the gazes of countless people, a fair hand was placed in her palm. The young man got out of the car. His red wedding dress fluttered in the wind, drawing a beautiful arc in the air. Finally, everything calmed down. He stuck close to the person beside him, as if they were about to become one. The young man's side profile could be said to be perfect. When he turned his head, he happened to meet the camera. His face suddenly appeared in front of everyone. His skin was as white as jade. His eyebrows reached his temples. Sunlight fell into his pitch-black eyes, forming small fragments of light in the depths of his eyes. He curled his lips into a smile. At that moment, everyone seemed to hear the sound of flowers blooming in their hearts. Countless specks of light fell from the sky and landed on the young man's hair and shoulders. They made him look like a rare treasure, shining brightly. Sher Shang held his hand and led him through the light. They walked through the door. The star web, which had been silent for a long time, was now in an uproar. This boy is so cute. Ah. What do you mean cute? He's obviously very handsome. Ah, didn't you see how handsome he was when he smiled just now? I think I'm going to turn gay. Oh my God, how can there be such a good-looking young man? I've let down my ancestors. I repent. Good cabbages have all been eaten by pigs. Pig equals Sher family head equals Sher Shang. How can such a good-looking young man be a cabbage? Even if he is a cabbage, he's a cabbage inlaid with gold. But speaking of which, who is he? Who knows? I've never seen him before. I've studied all the good-looking people in the galaxy, but I've never seen him before. Where did Sher Shang find such a treasure? Why can't I have such good luck? Sher Shang and Feng Ci stopped at the door. A few old men in traditional clothing stood in front of them. They glanced at Sher Shang. Sher Shang glanced over, and their pupils shrank. The first old man reached out his hand to Feng Ci. Feng Ci didn't like people getting so close to him. He subconsciously took a step back. Sher Shang held his waist. Don't move. Feng Ci frowned and looked at the hand in front of him. Luckily, it was still some distance away. The old man chanted a strange spell, and a bright light flowed out from his palm. It danced around Sher Shang and Feng Ci before returning to his palm. Then, he put his palms together and stepped back. The old men behind him repeated the first old man's actions. After all the old men stepped back, Sher Shang led Feng Ci into the Sher family's house. There were countless arrays operating inside the house. One after another, they were connected to the main hall. When Feng Ci stepped onto the first array, the scenery around him started to change. Spring was everywhere. With every step he took, the scenery changed. The first array was spring. Hundreds of flowers bloomed. The second array was summer. The sun was scorching. The third array was autumn. Fruits were everywhere. The fourth array was winter. Snow was falling. Sher Shang stopped at the fourth array and turned to look at him. We've walked through spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It means that you'll always be by my side in the future. He continued to walk forward. The fifth array was full of thorns. The sixth array was endless darkness. The seventh array formation was a sharp blade. The eighth array was raging fire. Regardless of whether the road ahead is full of thorns, darkness, or fire, we'll walk through it together. The ninth array was dragons roar and phoenixes dance. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.